Chapter 2572. Puffed. Chintian spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale as he fell to the ground. He wasn't dead, but his meridians were all broken, and his organs were all dislocated. He was now a cripple. After a while, Chintian said in shock, "Sky class early phase. For the sake of noble House Wu, I'll spare your life." Strategist Zhuge smiled coldly and turned to Fatty Lai, who was also sweating profusely. "Boss Lai, is this your business partner? Or did you hire him to help you? Can we continue talking about the cooperation?" Chintian took a deep breath and closed his eyes, starting to meditate. He didn't want to talk too much at a time like this. Staying alive was the most important thing. He was too careless today. He didn't expect a drug dealer to be a Sky-class early-phase master. Chintian wasn't worried, however. This wasn't the first time he became a cripple. He knew that as long as he had a boss like Lin Yi, he would be able to recover his strength in a matter of minutes. But what about Fatty Lai? How could he get Lin Yi to help? "I didn't expect Strategist Zhuge to be a Sky-class early-phase master. My apologies, my apologies." Fatty Lai was even more shocked after hearing Chintian's strength. He smiled bitterly. "Then, let's talk about cooperation?" "Haha, if I wasn't a Sky-class early-phase master, but a Mystic-class master, wouldn't I die here today?" Strategist Zhuge said faintly. "Ugh, that." Fatty Lai felt a little awkward. "It's fine. In the world of practitioners, it's the law of the jungle. I'm used to it." Strategist Zhuge waved his hand. "I'm stronger than you now, so you're mine? But since you don't want to cooperate, I'll make some changes to the terms of cooperation. I'll reduce your profits." That's fine." Fatty Lai smiled bitterly. "Strategist Zhuge, if that's the case, I'll tell you the truth. I'm actually working for someone else. I have a boss behind me, and I can't make the decision myself. I'll have to ask my boss for help." "Your boss behind you? Are you talking about the secular Wu family?" Strategist Zhuge glanced at Chintian at the corner. Chintian's appearance reminded him of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's House Wu. "No, Wu Chintian and I are working for the boss." Fatty Lai shook his head, denying Strategist Zhuge's guess. "Are you all workers?" Strategist Zhuge squinted his eyes, and a sharp light flashed through his eyes. He thought that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company only had the backing of the Wu family in the secular world. But now it seemed that even the young master of the Wu family was working for the boss behind the scenes. That meant that the boss behind the scenes wasn't simple either. Thinking of this, he decided to find out the strength of the boss behind him before saying, "All right, in that case, why don't you find the boss behind you? But don't tell me you're looking for outside help again." "Sort of, but not really. If even my boss can't handle it, then he'll personally talk to Strategist Zhuge about working together," Fatty Lai replied. Strategist Zhuge waved his hand and ordered, "That's good. You can make the call now." Fatty Lai didn't say much and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi came back from Songshan very late last night, and he didn't talk to Han Jingjing when he got home. He didn't know about the conditions that Right Ponhu gave him in exchange of information. He was about to talk to Han Jingjing in the car when his phone rang. Looking at the caller ID, Lin Yi was a little confused. Wasn't Fatty Lai overseas for business? Why was he calling at this time? "Hello, Fatty Lai, what's up?" Lin Yi picked up the phone. "Boss, something happened at the medical company." Fatty Lai didn't hide it and told the whole story in front of Strategist Zhuge. He only talked about the matter as it stood and didn't add any personal feelings. In the end, he also told him about Wu Chintian being injured. What? Wu Chintian was injured? Lin Yi was shocked after listening to Fatty Lai's story. However, he wasn't too worried about Wu Chintian. He was only shocked that this Strategist Zhuge was a Sky-class early-phase master. What was more coincidental was that this Strategist Zhuge was called Strategist. Could it be the strategist Dafeng Bro sent from the Red Conch HQ? Considering that he was also a drug dealer, it was very possible. "Yes, boss. What do we do now?" Fatty Lai asked. "Wait for a while. I'll go over now," Lin Yi said. He decided to meet the strategist, but this strategist was a Sky-class early-phase master. It was risky for Lin Yi to go over, but he had no other choice. He couldn't really compromise and work with them, could he? So, even if it was risky, Lin Yi had to take it. Plus, if he did it right, he should be able to keep the danger to a minimum. Other than the raging Fire 8 trigram palm, Lin Yi also had the net of heaven and earth. If he really couldn't do it, he would use the net of heaven and earth. Who cares if you're a sky class master or not? You won't be able to move. Then, he would use the raging Fire 8 trigram palm to see if you'd survive. Of course, if you didn't die, he could use his ultimate technique, the Chi Bomb. No matter how strong you were, you'd still die. But from the start, Lin Yi didn't plan to use the Chi Bomb. In such a small room, it was a suicidal move. Especially since Wu Qintian was half dead and Fatty Lai wasn't a practitioner. It didn't matter if Lin Yi was injured, but it wouldn't be fun if Fatty Lai and Wu Qintian died. Yao, something happened at Fatty Lai's company. I have to go back to Songshan to deal with it. Can you drive with everyone to school today? Lin Yi said. Okay. Meng Yao nodded. You really know how to make trouble. You just came back last night and went back this morning. If you knew this would happen, you should have stayed at your old villa for the night. Yeah, who knew that things would happen at the same time? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. With that, Lin Yi left the villa and drove the jeep back to Songshan. On the way, Lin Yi called Dafeng Bro. Mr. Lin. Dafeng Bro picked up quickly and said respectfully, Dafeng, let me ask you, do you think the strategist sent by the headquarters is called Strategist Zhuge? Lin Yi asked. Chapter 2573. Oh, he's a master in the early stage of heaven class. Lin Yi ignored Dafeng's complaints and continued asking. Yes, he's a master in the early stage of heaven class. Dafeng nodded and said, Mr. Lin, why are you asking this all of a sudden? He came to my company. Lin Yi said. What? He went to your company? Dafeng was stunned and asked curiously, why did he go to Mr. Lin's company? It's like this. Lin Yi told Dafeng about strategist Zhuge's plan to frame Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and force them to cooperate. Then, Mr. Lin means that you want me to deal with it? Dafeng knew Lin Yi's strength, so he didn't think that Lin Yi could kill strategist Zhuge. He thought that Lin Yi wanted him to deal with it. But he was also in a difficult position. You also know that although I'm the leader now, my words don't carry much weight. There's no need to deal with it. Lin Yi smiled and said, I just want to know if there will be any problems if strategist Zhuge dies. Problems? He can die. Dafeng was stunned and then said in surprise, if he dies, that would be great. I can take the opportunity to rise and take a breather. Okay, then you wait to collect his corpse. Lin Yi hung up the phone. They finally arrived at the Dr. Kang's medical company building. The security guard at the door was the same one from yesterday, but when he saw Lin Yi, he immediately greeted him respectfully. Mr. Lin, are you looking for Vice President Kong? Take me to the reception room. Lin Yi didn't talk nonsense with him and said directly. Okay. The security guard nodded quickly, took Lin Yi to the elevator, and pointed to the direction of the reception room for Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't hide his strength when he arrived at the door of the guest room. He started channeling the art of dragon mastery, revealing his Earth-class mid-phase peak to the fullest. This was to confuse them. Lin Yi pushed the door open and walked in. He could feel the tense atmosphere in the room. No one was talking, but Fatty Lai was sitting there with cold sweat on his forehead. He let out a sigh of relief when he saw Lin Yi. He stood up. Boss, you're here. Haha. And here I was wondering how strong the person behind you was. But it's just an Earth-class mid-phase peak. Strategist Zhuge burst into laughter when he saw Lin Yi. Just now, an Earth-class early phase came to die, and now another Earth-class mid-phase peak. Do you think you can pose any threat to me? In my eyes, even if you're Earth-class late-phase peak, you're still an Earth-class master. Oh, the 7th move of the Raging Flame, 8 trigrams palm. A moment ago, Lin Yi was nodding his head in a very inferior manner, but the next moment, he attacked without any warning. Boom Dash, a powerful martial technique, was released in an instant, crashing onto strategist Zhuge's body. The martial technique had been activated before he could defend himself. It was equivalent to the 13th style of a normal martial technique. Strategist Zhuge was a Sky-class early-phase peak master, let alone an Earth-class early-phase peak master. He would definitely die under Lin Yi's attack, without any defense. This time, the martial technique was even more powerful than the one that attacked Third Right. Third Right was crippled, and strategist Zhuge died with his eyes wide open. He didn't even have time to say a word before he died. His whole body was smashed into meat paste, and all his bones were broken. It was as miserable as one could imagine. Lin Yi turned his head innocently and looked at strategist Zhuge's follower, who was already stunned. At this moment, the follower's face was pale, and he couldn't stop trembling. He was just a golden class master, and he couldn't even stand a finger in front of Lin Yi. In his eyes, he had already regarded Lin Yi as a Sky Class Early Phase Peak Master, or even a Sky Class Middle Phase Master, although Lin Yi just showed the strength of a Earth Class Middle Phase Peak Master. The martial technique that Lin Yi activated was the 13 style of Sky Class martial technique, which could only be activated by a Sky Class Early Phase Peak Master or a Sky Class Middle Phase Master. So, Lin Yi must have deliberately suppressed his strength, pretending to be weak. So, when Lin Yi looked at him, he was completely disheartened. "Senior, I'm just a follower. It has nothing to do with me. This is all strategist Zhuge's idea. Oh, then go back with his body. Tell the people behind you that when I have time, I will go to your headquarters and settle this account. How dare you touch my company? Do you want to die?" Lin Yi warned faintly. Naturally, he wouldn't kill this follower. He had to find someone to go back and pass the message, and he had to bring back strategist Zhuge's body. At that time, with strategist Zhuge's miserable corpse, it would be easier for Bro Doffing to take over the position, and the masters of the headquarters would also have to think twice. In this kind of place where there was a grudge, they shouldn't get themselves involved. The grudge was caused by strategist Zhuge, and if Lin Yi wanted to settle it when he had the chance, wouldn't he be asking for trouble if he came at this time? He believed that no one would be willing to get involved in this mess, and Bro Doffing would naturally take over the position. Yes. The follower replied hurriedly, and was about to carry strategist Zhuge's body away. "Wait, Fatty Lai, go find a suitcase for him. Carrying him out like this will scare the ordinary employees in the company." Lin Yi waved his hand to stop the follower and said, "Okay." Fatty Lai came back to his senses, and the way he looked at Lin Yi was more respectful. One move, and that arrogant strategist Zhuge died. Wasn't he a little too strong? Although Qintian had long heard that Lin Yi could fight Sky Class, it was just a rumor. Today was the first time he saw it, and it was Lin Yi who killed a Sky Class with absolute superiority. What kind of concept was this? Qintian was very glad that his two bosses were both powerful men. Gooden could kill someone with Golden Shield, and Lin Yi could kill a Sky Class instantly. They weren't just normal powerful men. It seemed that his choice back then was correct. Fatty Lai quickly found a suitcase and gave it to the follower. The follower quietly put strategist Zhuge's body into the suitcase, closed it, and looked at Lin Yi with respect, turned around, and left the guest room. This follower was also from the headquarters. He was originally a small fry in the headquarters, and it was an incomparably glorious thing to follow strategist Zhuge to the national division. As long as he did it well, it was only a matter of time before he became successful. Chapter 2574. The leader of the branch, Big Brother Feng, had no right to speak at all. He was just a figurehead. At that time, the follower was very excited. If he did well, he might be able to get the position of the second-in-command in a few years. Since the first master was just an empty shell, he, the second-in-command, would be the first master and would be directly responsible to military counselor Zhuge. Of course, the wish was good, but the reality was cruel. He didn't even have a few good days before advisor Zhuge was killed. He, the follower, would fall into the abyss. Although he couldn't stay in the branch anymore, he could go back to the headquarters. But if he went back to the headquarters, he would be a small fry for life. No one would dare to use him. They would think that he was unlucky. It was impossible for him to develop. It was better to just eat and wait for death. He was afraid of being used as a scapegoat. Everything would be over if he was used as a scapegoat. Although Red Conches was mysterious, it was still a large terrorist drug trafficking organization. Who wouldn't get their shoes wet if they always stood by the river? The police would have something on him. Plus, there were some useless scapegoats in Red Conscious. If this follower went back, he might become one of them. He was depressed. He didn't hate Lin E, but he hated Advisor Zhuge. He was a smart person. He knew that every debt had a debtor. If Advisor Zhuge didn't bully people and offend someone he shouldn't have, he wouldn't have died. Thinking about how Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was doing so well in such a short period of time, how could it be without a strong backer? This Advisor Zhuge even called himself the reincarnation of Zhuge Liang. He was the reincarnation of a pig. Even pigs were smarter than him. What idiot. However, even though he was angry and sad, he still followed the rules and told Defeng about this. Although Advisor Zhuge was in charge of the branch and Defeng was just a figurehead, Defeng was actually the biggest boss. He wanted to tell Defeng not to tell Defeng. It was not impossible to report directly to the headquarters without telling Big Brother Feng. But now that strategist Zhuge was dead, he had no backing. If someone messed with him and said that he did not follow the rules, it would be equivalent to sending him to the 18th level of hell. All right, he could only go out and take the blame. Brother Defeng, I'm Xiao Tong. The follower weakly dialed Brother Defeng's number. Brother Dafeng was also anxiously waiting for the news. He didn't know if Lin Yi could deal with military counselor Zhuge. Although Lin Yi was full of confidence, military counselor Zhuge was still a heaven-rank expert. Oh, little Tong, what's the matter? Big Brother Feng pretended to be calm, but he was extremely excited in his heart. In the past, it was absolutely impossible for Xiao Tongzi to call him. He had always been with military counselor Zhuge. How could he call Brother Dafeng? But this time, something must have happened. Big Brother Feng could only think of military counselor Zhuge. Only when military counselor Zhuge was in trouble would little Tongzi call him. Brother Dafeng, something happened. Military advisor Zhuge is dead. Xia Tongzi said with a sad face. He was beaten to death. Oh, who would be so daring? He actually dared to kill military counselor Zhuge? Big Brother Feng flew into a rage. Could it be that he wants to go against our red conch? No, military counselor Zhuge asked for it. If he listened to Brother Dafeng and developed steadily, would he die? Xia Tongzi gritted his teeth and made a final gamble. If Big Brother Feng heard his praise and could keep it by his side, then Xia Tongzi might be able to get some errands to do. Otherwise, he would be finished when he returned to the headquarters. Oh, why do you say that? Big Brother Feng asked calmly. Xia Tongzi wasn't stupid. When he heard Big Brother Feng's question, he immediately understood that Big Brother Feng didn't mind him continuing. So he quickly said, in my opinion, although military counselor Zhuge came from the headquarters, he didn't understand the forces in the country at all. He wanted to be in the limelight and was overjoyed. What happened in the end? This time, he provoked a force that he couldn't afford to provoke. What could he do even if he was a heaven-rank expert? That was an instant kill, killing him in one move. His bones and meridians were all broken. Isn't he courting death? What? Instant kill? Big Brother Feng was stunned. Although he felt that Lin Yi must have some confidence in killing military counselor Zhuge, the process shouldn't be simple. It should be extremely difficult, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to kill military counselor Zhuge in one move. What level was Lin Yi now? Yes, instant kill. Xia Tongzi naturally didn't know that Big Brother Feng knew Lin Yi. He continued. Originally, Lai Changyi's company found an Earth-rank expert from the Wu family to make peace. However, military counselor Zhuge didn't give him face and crippled him. Now, he provoked the boss behind the Wu family's young master, and he killed him in one move. Who is the boss behind him? How is he so powerful? Big Brother Feng asked quickly. I don't know his name, but he's very young, in his early 20s. He's a little thin and doesn't look like a ruthless person. He's like a student, but when he makes a move, it's really ruthless. Xia Tongzi was scared when he thought about it. Big Brother Feng took a deep breath. He could finally confirm that it was Lin Yi who did it. But why was Lin Yi so powerful? However, the more powerful Lin Yi was, the happier Big Brother Feng was. It proved that he didn't follow the wrong person. He's so powerful. If military counselor Zhuge provoked such a ruthless person, It would be strange if he didn't die. Big Brother Feng said faintly. This is the birthplace of ancient martial arts. It's different from foreign countries. There are many hidden masters here. If you don't provoke them, you might not see anything. But if you provoke them, trouble will come. Yes, I think so too. Sigh. But my words don't carry much weight. Plus, I followed Military Counselor Zhuge from the headquarters. Although I wanted to persuade him, Military Counselor Zhuge didn't listen to me. It's not good for me to secretly report to Big Brother Feng. I didn't expect Military Counselor Zhuge to lose his life. Big Brother Feng, I'm sorry. Please punish me. Xia Tongzi said. It's good to know your mistakes and correct them. You can be considered a smart person. Come back immediately. Let's discuss what to do about this matter. Big Brother Feng also saw that Xia Tongzi wasn't stupid. He also needed such a person by his side, so he simply took him in. Xia Tongzi was a person without any foundation. If he didn't follow Big Brother Feng, he would die if he returned to the headquarters. Chapter 2575. Lin Yi had used the 7th form of the fiery 8 trigrams palm, and his chi was pretty depleted. After Tongzi left, Lin Yi turned to Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai, stand guard at the door and don't disturb me. I'm going to heal Wu Qintian. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Fatty Lai, but that his weakness was too fatal. He couldn't reveal it to anyone other than Xin Yan. If the enemy found out, he'd be done for. Fatty Lai was his trusted follower, but the fewer people who knew, the better. Yes, Fatty Lai didn't suspect anything and quickly left the guest room. Lin Yi, on the other hand, sat cross-legged beside Qintian, channeled the 2nd stage of the art of dragon mastery, and started healing Qintian's wounds. However, Lin Yi didn't choose to heal Qintian all the time, stopping after a while to recover some qi before continuing. Qintian, naturally, didn't know what Lin Yi was doing. He thought that his wounds were too severe, and Lin Yi had to heal him in batches. The morning passed quickly, and at noon, Lin Yi and Qintian walked out of the room together, full of energy. Qintian's wounds were all healed, and Lin Yi had returned to his peak condition. Fatty Lai personally brought a chair and sat at the door, and Kong came as well. The two of them had a serious expression on their faces, like two door gods. Lin Yi laughed. You two don't have to be so serious, do you? Why not? You're healing Qintian, bro. We'd be sinners if we weren't careful and didn't heal him. Fatty Lai said. Boss, I've troubled you again. I wasted an entire morning, Qintian said, embarrassed. Qintian was a little embarrassed. He thought that his injuries were really serious this time, or with Lin Yi's healing speed, it wouldn't have taken this long. What he didn't know was that Lin Yi was healing himself as well. The two of them took turns. How could it not be slow? Qintian, what are you talking about? You got injured because of my company. How was that trouble? Lin Yi glared at him. But next time something like this happens, you should eat a little rejuvenation pill first. Do you know how severe your wounds are? That advisor Zhuge didn't want to kill you, or you'd be dead already. I was going to eat it, but I saw you coming, boss, so I didn't. Didn't I save a little rejuvenation pill? Qintian laughed. Lin Yi was speechless. The little rejuvenation pill wasn't something. But thinking about it, it was something precious to House Wu. Other than the one Lin Yi gave him, he didn't have any other way to buy it. I'll make some more. Take them with you. Fatty Lai, Kong, you guys take them too. If you're about to die, I'll be able to get there in time with the little rejuvenation pill, Lin Yi said. Thank you, boss. Qintian said gratefully. Lin Yi had to go back to class in the afternoon, so he didn't stay for long. After saying goodbye to Fatty Lai, Kong, and Qintian, he drove to Donghai Industry University. Yu Coiling Tiger came to school in high spirits, wanting to discuss the information exchange with Lin Yi. But when he arrived, he realized that Lin Yi didn't come to school again. This made him very depressed. Han Jingjing, do you know where Lin Yi went? Lin Yi wasn't back yet at noon. Yu Coiling Tiger couldn't wait any longer and went to ask Han Jingjing about Lin Yi's whereabouts. I don't know. Han Jingjing closed the tablet in front of her, not letting Yu Coiling Tiger see what was on it. Yu Coiling Tiger wanted to see what was on Han Jingjing's tablet, but Han Jingjing wouldn't let him see, so he couldn't just rob it. He didn't have the guts to rob Boss Bai's class. He'd probably get Boss Bai's expulsion notice right after he did it. What about the conditions we agreed on yesterday? Did you tell Lenny? Did Lenny agree? You Coiling Tiger asked. I don't know. I didn't see Lenny, bro. You can ask him when he comes, Han Jingjing said. So you're saying that he didn't go back last night? You Coiling Tiger frowned. Did he go somewhere far away? What should I do? I'm in a hurry. He came back, but he left in the morning. I didn't have time to tell him, Han Jingjing said. Oh, that's good. You Coiling Tiger breathed a sigh of relief. He was about to go back and continue to wait, but when he looked up, he saw Lenny walk into the classroom. You Coiling Tiger was overjoyed, and his face suddenly showed an excited smile. Student Lin E, you're back. Oh, why are you so excited to see me? I don't owe you money. Lenny knew what You Coiling Tiger was planning, but he still said it very calmly on the surface. Ugh. Well, it's like this. I want to trade for the information Boss Bai gave you. I told Han Jingjing about the conditions and whatnot yesterday. Han Jingjing, can you tell Lenny about it? You Coiling Tiger was afraid that Lin Yi would leave again later, so he didn't beat around the bush and directly expressed his intention. Oh, Jingjing's memory isn't very good. What if I say too much? Han Jingjing looked up innocently. Then I'll say it. You Coiling Tiger was a little speechless. It turned out that what he said yesterday was really in vain. Lin Yi, I've listed the conditions. I can give you a second-grade medicine cauldron, a set of casting materials for a third-grade medicine cauldron, and 5 sets of refining materials for third-grade elixirs. Oh. Lin Yi responded indifferently after listening. He didn't agree or disagree. Can you do it or not? Lin Yi, say something? You Coiling Tiger didn't know what Lin Yi meant. You're not sincere. Let's not talk anymore. We'll talk again when you're sincere, said Lin Yi. Don't, Lin Yi. How am I not sincere? Aren't the things I'm talking about good treasures? Is this not sincere? You Coiling Tiger said with some dissatisfaction. Other than a second-grade medicine cauldron, what else can be used? Casting materials for a third-grade medicine cauldron. Do you think I'm a blacksmith? As for the 5 sets of refining materials for third-grade elixirs, I don't have much use for them at the moment. I don't even have a medicine cauldron. What do I need materials for? Asked Lin Yi. Chapter 2576. I said what I want, but you don't have it. Lin Yi spread his hands and said helplessly, so if you are sincere in exchanging information with me, tell me what you have. I only have what I had before. You Coiling Tiger really couldn't say anything else. These were the things he could decide on. The other treasures were hidden in the Yu family. How could he take them out so easily? Oh, if that's the case, then don't talk about it. Lin Yi said. Don't. Look at the other conditions. As long as it's not a finished third-grade elixir or a third-grade medicine cauldron, you can ask for anything else. You Coiling Tiger was anxious and quickly stopped Lin Yi. I really don't need anything else. Aren't you forcing me to buy and sell? Lin Yi looked at You Coiling Tiger with some displeasure. I'm not forcing you to buy and sell. I just want you to bid. You Coiling Tiger said. How about this? Double your conditions, then it's a deal. Otherwise, forget it. Lin Yi said. Double? You Coiling Tiger was shocked. I'm at a loss even if I double it. The only useful things you can offer are 2 second-grade medicine cauldrons. What's the use of the other things in hiding in the Yu family? Lin Yi curled his lips. Then I'll ask Grandpa. You Coiling Tiger thought about it. The third-grade medicine cauldrons and third-grade elixir materials were hidden in the Yu family. His grandfather was just a second-grade alchemist. He couldn't refine third-grade elixir at all. What do you want for third-grade elixir materials? 3 recover pills, 3 ice heart jade bone pills, and 4 chi gathering pills. Lin Yi said. Ice heart jade bone pill? What's that? You Coiling Tiger was slightly stunned. He had heard of the recover pill and the chi gathering pill, but he had never heard of the ice heart jade bone pill. Although he was also an alchemist, there were many types of elixirs. Other than some commonly used elixirs, You Coiling Tiger naturally didn't know about the others, especially the Ice Heart Jade Bone Pill, which was a very targeted elixir. He had never come into contact with it. It was normal that he didn't know about it. Oh, I'll give you the recipe. You just have to go back and make it. Lin Yi said. The Ice Heart Jade Bone Pill was actually only useful for people like Miss Rock Candy. It was not very useful for others, so it didn't matter if the recipe was leaked. Even if the Yu family got this recipe, they couldn't exchange it for money. All right, Coiling Tiger nodded and had Lin E write down the pill recipe. In fact, besides the 2 second-grade medicine cauldrons, the other things weren't too big of a problem in Coiling Tiger's eyes. Although the materials for 3rd-grade medicine cauldrons and 3rd-grade pills were very precious, there were almost no people who could use them. The materials for 3rd-grade pills were a bit better, but the materials for 3rd-grade medicine cauldrons were basically useless. Even if the materials of 3rd-grade elixirs were useful, only the patriarch of the Heavenly Elixir sect could use them to refine elixirs. And how many times could the patriarch of the Heavenly Elixir sect refine 3rd-grade elixirs in a year? Naturally, there were more materials and fewer pills. Coiling Tiger took Lin Yi's recipe and left the classroom to ask for instructions. Meanwhile, Lin Yi sat in front of Han Jingjing and next to Wang Xinyan. Is everything done? Wang Xinyan waited for Lin Yi and Coiling Tiger to finish talking before asking. Yes, it's fine. Lin Yi nodded. He had been busy since yesterday, and the things on hand had piled up. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to study the hidden Zhuang family's joint attack technique, but he ran out early in the morning and didn't have the time to look at the Zhuang family's technique. If the technique could really be used, then it wouldn't be a dream for Han Jingjing to refine a 3rd-grade elixir. Wang Xinyan nodded and didn't say anything else. She read her book quietly, but her heart wasn't calm. She was getting closer to Lin Yi, and Xiaolong was aware of it. Xiaolong hadn't done anything drastic yet, and he seemed to have disappeared after the winter trip. But Wang Xinyan was worried that Xiaolong might be plotting something even bigger. Xinyan's mind was a mess, and she couldn't focus on her book. I'll take a nap. I'm a little sleepy, Xinyan said, her head a mess. Okay. Lin Yi noticed that Wang Xinyan had been sleeping a lot lately. She didn't used to take naps in the past, but now it was a common thing. Lin Yi found it strange, but Xinyan's body wasn't very healthy. Maybe it was because of this. After a while, Coiling Tiger walked into the classroom again. He was about to speak loudly when Lin Yi stopped him. Xinyan's asleep. Keep your voice down if you want to trade, or get the hell out of here. Okay, Lin Yi, my grandpa agrees to your request. But I only have 1 2nd-grade cauldron left, and the higher-ups haven't given us the quota for this year. I can only give you one, and I'll give you an IOU for the other one. What do you think? Coiling Tiger asked. That won't do. What if you don't want to pay after making a copy? You give me the money, and I'll give you the goods, or there's no need to talk. Lin Yi said firmly. Then what do? We only have these things at home. Why are you so inflexible? Can't you be flexible? Why don't you ask Boss Bai to be a witness? Do you think I'll blackmail you? Coiling Tiger said helplessly. You still want to trade for the information from Boss Bai? Lin Yi asked back. This. Coiling Tiger thought about it and agreed. If Boss Bai was willing to give him the information, he wouldn't have to go through the trouble of exchanging through Lin Yi. So he said, I want another cauldron. I'll give you something else as a substitute. How about it? Something else. Lin Yi really couldn't think of a substitute at the moment. He thought about it and said, Then how about another set of materials for a 3rd-grade cauldron? This. I don't have it for now. Coiling Tiger's face darkened. 2 sets are leftovers. Our family's extra materials for 3rd-grade cauldron were all given to the Heavenly Elixir sect for research. If you want to get them back, you have to wait for a chance. Fuck, if you don't have it here, if you don't have it there, then what do you have? Lin Yi finally thought of one, but Coiling Tiger didn't have it yet. How about this? Don't you want 10 sets of materials for 3rd-grade elixirs? How about this? I'll give you 12 sets, 4 of each. How about it? Coiling Tiger saw that Lin Yi really didn't lack anything else, and what he wanted was materials for a 3rd-grade cauldron, so he used the materials for other elixirs as a substitute. Chapter 2577. If Panhu knew what Lin Yi was thinking, he'd probably vomit blood. He'd only promised 2 portions to shut Lin Yi's mouth, so that Lin Yi could take the advantage and finish the deal as soon as possible. It wasn't because the ingredients weren't valuable. Of course, whether it was valuable or not dependent on what it was compared to. In the eyes of the Hidden Youth family, the materials for refining a third-grade elixir were naturally not as valuable as a second-grade cauldron. This was because the materials for refining a third-grade elixir were useless. Even the Heavenly Elixir sect had piles of them. There were a lot of ingredients in the herb garden every year, and unless they were extremely rare or heaven-defying ingredients, they could still collect a lot of ingredients for normal third-rank pills. Of course, it depended on who they were compared to. If they were compared to an ancient sect or ancient house, then these ingredients would be very valuable as well. The Heavenly Elixir School was able to cultivate in large quantities because they had a special spiritual land, so the output of these medicinal materials was very high. However, the number of heaven-defying medicinal materials was not high. Even the Heavenly Elixir School had to buy them from places like the Snow Valley. All right, it's settled then. I'll get someone to prepare it now. We should be able to gather everything by the end of today's school. We'll hand over the goods at the same time. You'd better make a copy first to save yourself some trouble. Pan Hu Right reminded. Xin Yan slept all the way until the second afternoon class, and was woken up by Lin Yi when Boss Bai entered the classroom. There was no class in the first afternoon, and it was self-study. Those who were willing to come could come to the classroom, and those who didn't could go straight back to the dorms after lunch. I slept for so long. Xin Yan didn't think that she'd slept for 2 hours. She thought she'd only slept for half an hour. Haha, didn't you rest well last night? Lin Yi smiled, not minding it. No, I slept really well. I woke up at 8 in the morning, and I didn't even have breakfast. Xin Yan said, a little embarrassed. Then maybe you're in hibernation. Lin Yi joked. Idiot. Xin Yan gave Lin Yi a light kick. Only animals hibernate. Humans are also a type of animal, Lin Yi said. If you don't believe me, you can ask Teacher Bai. You're going against me on purpose. I won't let you cultivate anymore. Xin Yan said angrily. Then you're not an animal. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He's dead if he doesn't move. Humph. Xin Yan turned her head away, ignoring Lin Yi. Xin Yan was a little drowsy today. She dreamt that she'd gone to the theme park with Lin Yi, so she couldn't help but joke with Lin Yi a little. Normally, Xin Yan would have been worried about what Xiaolong thought. Lin Yi noticed that Xin Yan was quite nice today, too. She didn't feel like she was 1,000 miles away from him. Xin Yan used to talk to Lin Yi and interact with Lin Yi, but she was always on guard against something. Even sleeping in the same bed with Lin, he didn't feel comfortable. Want to come to my house tonight? Xin Yan paused and turned to glare at Lin Yi. Sure. Lin Yi came back too late and didn't go to school, so Xin Yan was too embarrassed to wait for Lin Yi with Meng Yao and Chai Shaoling. That night, she was interrogated by He Mei Yue and Chai Shaoling, asking if she'd gone out to get a room. Xin Yan had no choice but to lie, saying that she was staying at a relative's house. He Mei Yue wanted to visit Xin Yan's relative, so Xin Yan didn't know what to say. But today, when Lin Yi invited her, Wang Xin Yan somehow agreed. She was a little conflicted after that, wondering how she was going to explain this to He Mei Yue and Shaoling when she got back. She couldn't go to a relative's house that often, could she? She could have just said that she was sick and needed some rest, but now that she was fine, it was just a little drowsy. There was no point in going to a relative's house. Besides, Xin Yan would fall asleep the moment she got back to her room. She didn't have time to do anything else. If she went to a relative's house just to sleep, then what was the point? Oh, whatever. Xin Yan sighed and took out her textbook, focusing on the lesson. Lin Yi naturally didn't notice Xin Yan's expression. He was channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, while Lin Yi took out the combination practitioner's arts he'd gotten from the hidden Zhuang house and started studying it. This combination practitioner's arts was quite skillful. Lin Yi came to this conclusion after a few glances. It was something passed down from the ancient times, after all. It wasn't as powerful as the art of dragon mastery, but it was still very powerful. This practitioner's arts had a few levels, but Lin Yi didn't know the specifics. The hidden Zhuang house only had the first 2 levels, and he didn't know if the rest were lost, or if they didn't bring it out from the everyday and everyday sect, or if they only had 2 levels. Because Lin Yi was using the art of dragon mastery to look at other practitioners' arts, he felt that there should be a few levels. In fact, most practitioners only had 1 level, like Wu Qingyao. They could slowly increase their strength, but they only had one practitioner's arts. The first level was the Zhuang Niapeo and Zhuang Niaoqiang's arts. It required two people to practice it together, and when two people practiced it together, they could stack their strengths. So two Earth-class, early-phase peak masters together were basically invincible under Sky class. But while this art seemed to be heaven-defying, it had a flaw. If it was a solo practitioner, their combat strength would be greatly reduced, and they would be weaker than other practitioners of the same level. As long as the opponent's arts and techniques weren't too trashy, they would be able to win against either one of them. As a result, the two's individual combat skills were much lower. Lin Yi also understood why Zhuang Niaoqiang and Zhuang Niapeo didn't participate in the individual fights at the Hidden House's summit. It was the other disciples of the Hidden House who participated, and they only appeared in the double fights at the end. Chapter 2578. Losing a lot of strength wasn't too scary for Lin Yi. As long as he had time, Lin Yi would be able to recover. Of course, it wouldn't work if he was in a dangerous situation. It could only be used when there was no one to disturb him. Looking at the second level, the so-called second level was actually a three-person joint attack technique. From 2 people to 3 people, the strength of the original 2-in-1 became 3-in-1. If there were 3 early-stage peak Earth-class masters stacked together, they would probably be able to reach Sky class. Fighting against a Sky class early-stage master wouldn't be a problem. Of course, some people would think that the power of 2 early-stage peak Earth-class masters combined could reach the peak of late-stage peak Earth-class. Then how could 3 early-stage Earth-class masters who had just reached Sky class and could only fight against a Sky class early-stage master? In fact, this was easy to understand. Every time a practitioner leveled up, the amount of zhenqi needed would increase. It was just like the experience bar in a game. The higher the level, the slower the experience bar would increase and the more experience needed. On the other hand, a 3-person joint attack technique didn't have as many disadvantages. It could be compatible in a 3-person team. As long as 2 people work together, as long as they used the first level, they could still use a 2-person joint attack technique. Although the power would be reduced, it would still be invincible in a 2-person battle. As for training alone, the disadvantages were even greater. It was equivalent to dividing all the true qi in the body of the person who cultivated the mental cultivation method into 2 and adding it to the 2 people who did not cultivate the mental cultivation method. Then, the other 2 people would join forces and form a state of 2 people attacking together. Both of them would have the strength after superimposing. Only the person who cultivated the mental cultivation method would be miserable. As long as the mental cultivation method stopped operating, he would directly become an ordinary person. However, there was also a disadvantage. It was fine if the other 2 people didn't train in the joint attack technique, but they had to train in the same type of technique. Otherwise, the zhenqi wouldn't be able to be stacked, and there would be a situation where the zhenqi would repel each other. Other than Lin Yi, there wouldn't be anyone else who'd train in this sort of shitty practitioner's arts by themselves, unless they were stupid. Lin Yi was also a little speechless. If it wasn't for his art of dragon mastery, then Lin Yi wouldn't dare to try this abnormal technique. Lin Yi didn't think that the benefits of the second floor were useful to him at the moment. The first floor was enough for him, because he and Han Jingjing only needed 2 people to concoct the elixir. Another person, unless it was someone he trusted, would ruin the process. Not only would he fail to concoct the elixir, but he'd also die. One had to know that after Lin Yi stopped the technique, he would become a normal person. If there was someone with bad intentions, Lin Yi would be dead with 1 palm. Although Lin Yi was sure that with his strength, after training in the second level of the joint attack technique, he could find another Earth-stage alchemist to work with Han Jingjing to refine pills. Lin Yi would increase their strength. In this way, the chances of refining a 3rd-grade pill would be greatly increased. Maybe he could even directly refine a 3rd-grade pill. However, among the alchemists that Lin Yi knew, there was really no one else other than Yu Panhu. To ask him to cooperate, Lin Yi might as well commit suicide. Shaking his head, Lin Yi stopped the second level of the art of dragon mastery and began to try to practice the first level of the joint attack technique. However, just as Lin Yi started to practice the joint attack technique, his face changed. It couldn't be practiced. Lin Yi was shocked to find that not only could this technique not be practiced, but the art of dragon mastery in his body actually started to work on its own, rejecting the joint attack technique. It felt like water and fire were incompatible. Lin Yi originally thought that he would be very special. The art of dragon mastery was a universal technique and could be compatible with other techniques. However, he didn't expect that he would be the same as others. After practicing one technique, he couldn't practice other techniques. Otherwise, there would be a situation of rejection. Could it be that he had to abolish the art of dragon mastery in order to practice the joint attack technique? Lin Yi didn't dare to try it easily. If he abolished it and couldn't cultivate it back, then Lin Yi would really suffer a great loss. Although the joint attack technique was heaven-defying, without the art of dragon mastery, why would Lin Yi cultivate it? Without the art of dragon mastery, he wouldn't be able to recover his lost strength. As a result, Lin Yi shook his head decisively and gave up on the idea of studying the joint attack technique. It seemed like trickery wasn't going to work. Putting away the joint attack technique, Lin Yi once again activated the second level of the art of dragon mastery, using Xinyan's fragrance to train. It was school time in the blink of an eye, and Coiling Tiger excitedly took everything Lin Yi needed from a hidden disciple of the right house. He ran straight to Lin Yi's seat and sat down, putting the things in his hands on Lin Yi's desk. Take a look, it's all here. We'll hand over the money. Where's the money? Lin Yi asked. What money? Coiling Tiger paused. Didn't you say we'll hand over the money? Lin Yi asked. Fuck, you're not trying to scam me out of money, are you, Lin Yi? Coiling Tiger said, shocked. I'm telling you, you can't go back on your word. These are the terms we've agreed on, and I don't have the money. If you don't want it, you'll have to. Huh? Lin Yi smiled as he looked at Tiger Right. He thought the guy was going to say if you don't want to trade, he didn't expect it to be you have to trade. Where's the information? Coiling Tiger extended his hand. Let me check first. Lin Yi opened the box on the table. There was a second-grade cauldron inside. Coiling Tiger had given Lin Yi one before, and Lin Yi didn't find any problems with it. As for the materials for the third-grade cauldron, Lin Yi didn't know what was in it. He just roughly checked it. Coiling Tiger shouldn't be lying, and he didn't know if Lin Yi knew. As for the materials for the third-grade elixir, Lin Yi only knew the materials for the Chi-gathering pill. As for the Ice Heart Jade Heart pill and the Great Recover pill, although Lin Yi knew the elixir recipes, he didn't know some of the materials. However, the materials for the Chi-gathering pill were correct, so there shouldn't be any problems. Are you done checking? Don't worry, there's nothing missing. I, Coiling Tiger, still have this bit of credibility. There's no need to look so carefully. Coiling Tiger thought that Lin Yi still wanted to check the quality of the herbs, so he was a little anxious. All right, Jing Jing, give him the information, Lin Yi said. Chapter 2579. Panhu Yu didn't have time to deal with the text on his phone. Instead, he stared straight at Han Jingjing. Seeing that she was still fiddling with the tablet in her hand and not giving him the information, Panhu Yu became a little anxious. I say, Han Jingjing, can you look at your tablet later? Give me the information first. I did. Han Jingjing put down the tablet, her watery eyes shining with innocence. You did? Coiling Tiger Right paused. What did you get it to me? No matter how bad my memory is, it's impossible for me to forget what happened a few seconds ago. I'm Coiling Tiger Right, not Elder Yu. Who's Elder Yu? Han Jingjing looked at Coiling Tiger Right curiously. Nothing, just a tragic character in a novel. Don't worry about that. Give me the information. Coiling Tiger Right was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't give him the information. I really gave it to you. I sent it to your mailbox. Didn't your phone say you got a text just now? You're deaf, Han Jingjing said innocently. Coiling Tiger Right took out his phone and glanced at it. There really was an email, and he opened it. It was indeed a scanned version of the information. He looked at it carefully. It was information he'd never seen before, but he still flipped through the pages cautiously, afraid that Lin Yi would lie to him and leave out a few pages in the middle. He wouldn't be able to find them when he got back. These were all pictures. What if Lin Yi said he deleted them himself? He finished carefully and found that there were pages missing, but Coiling Tiger Right was afraid that it wasn't complete. He said, Lin Yi, compare the original version to me. I want to see how many pages there are at the end. You're so nosy. Lin Yi took out the original version from his bag and handed it to Coiling Tiger Right. Coiling Tiger Right's face darkened as he took the information, and only returned it to Lin Yi after confirming that there were no problems. He laughed dryly. I'm not doubting you, but you checked it so carefully before, so I have to do the same, don't I? Both of us won't lose out this way, and we'll continue trading in the future. Goodbye. Lin Yi picked up the box and left the classroom with Han Jingjing. Wang Xinyan was embarrassed, so she left first, waiting for Lin Yi in the parking lot. Coiling Tiger Right curled his lips at Lin Yi's attitude and left the classroom excitedly with his phone. He had to rush back to the Hidden House U as soon as possible and show this information to his grandpa. However, sometimes extreme joy turned to sorrow. The more Yupanhu held the phone carefully, afraid that he would lose it in his pocket and break it, the more trouble he would have. Just as Yupanhu walked out of the teaching building and was about to go to the parking lot to look for the yellow-haired and purple-haired siblings, a motorcycle sped over. Yupanhu was caught off guard and snatched the phone from his hand, then sped away. Fuck! Coiling Tiger immediately panicked and chased after it. But although he was also a cultivator, he cultivated alchemy. It was fine for him to strengthen his body, but it wasn't good enough for him to fight or run. After a few steps, the motorcycle disappeared into the distance. Coiling Tiger Right was about to explode. Motherfucker, his previous phone was stolen by a bunch of real robbers, and he just had a new high-end smartphone model. He didn't even understand how to use it before it was stolen. Of course, it wasn't just the phone that made his heart ache, but the contents of the phone. The previous phone was filled with messy videos of him looking for women, so it didn't matter if it was lost, but this phone contained alchemy information. If he didn't know that Lin Yi wouldn't do such a dirty thing, he would have thought that the robber was sent by Lin Yi because it was too much of coincidence. Coiling Tiger Right panicked. He didn't dare to tell his grandpa, afraid that he'd be scolded, so he could only brace himself and call Zhao Qibing, the local boss of Donghai. Zhao Qibing heard that Coiling Tiger Right had lost his phone and wanted to get it back, but he paused. How much could a phone cost? Was it worth so much to get it back? He asked curiously. Can't you just buy another one? What's the point? Master Bing, you don't know, but there's something important in my phone. Coiling Tiger Right said helplessly. If it wasn't for the alchemist's information, why would he ask for it? Oh, Zhao Qibing paused, then smiled lewdly. I understand. Is it an XX video of you and your girlfriend? And your girlfriend is from a prestigious family, so you can't leak it out? Something like that. Coiling Tiger Right was speechless, too lazy to explain. All right, tell me the model and color of the phone, and I'll help you find out about the thief organization in Donghai, Zhao Qibing said. But you have to promise me one thing. Coiling Tiger Right was just about to thank him when he heard the second half of Zhao Qibing's words. It seemed like he wasn't helping for free. Wasn't he taking advantage of him? But Coiling Tiger Right didn't have a choice. He had to get his phone back. What is it? Get Lin Yi to break my legs. Zhao Qibing said. What? You want to break Lin Yi's legs? And you want my help? Coiling Tiger Right was shocked. Fuck off. I'm not looking to die. I don't want my phone anymore. No, you heard wrong. Zhao Qibing quickly said, I want Lin Yi to break my legs, not his. Break your legs? Coiling Tiger Right paused. Are you sure? Or did I hear wrong? You're not mistaken. I want Lin Yi to break my legs, and you create an opportunity for me. What do you think? Zhao Qibing said. Uff. Coiling Tiger Right was stunned. Zhao Qibing, are you having a fever? No, just tell me if it's okay or not. Don't care so much. You're the second young master of House U, and you're looking for a phone. Can't I do something unexpected? Zhao Qibing asked back. That's true. All right, I can help you with this. From Coiling Tiger Right's perspective, this was a very simple request. Getting Lin Yi to break Zhao Qibing's legs was nothing to Lin Yi. It was as easy as lifting a finger. As a classmate, if he begged Lin, you should be able to agree, right? All right, it's a deal. Wait for my call, Zhao Qibing replied. All right. Coiling Tiger Right let out a breath of relief after the call. It would be great if he could find the phone as soon as possible. Red Conch, Qing Run City's branch. Little Tongzi carefully stood beside Dafeng Bro, while Dafeng Bro looked at strategist Zhuge's corpse with a sorrowful expression. Chapter 2580. Logically speaking, the death of the military counselor was a big deal. As the head of the branch, Dafeng had an unshirkable responsibility. After all, military counselor Zhuge was not an ordinary person. He was the military counselor of the headquarters, and his backer was one of the people in charge of the headquarters. Although this protector did not have a high status as an elder, he was also one of military counselor Zhuge's people. Although the elder came down with the intention of protecting Big Brother Feng, the person in charge obviously didn't want the elder to hide anything. So he sent a protector to supervise the elder to see if he was practicing favoritism. What happened? Dafeng? It's reasonable to say that our headquarters support for you isn't small. We promoted you to leader and even sent a heaven-ranked military advisor to help you hold the fort. What happened to you? He sent Counselor Zhuge to his death? The elder's words seemed fair, but in fact he was very clear about Big Brother Feng's position in the branch. How could an Earth-rank early-stage master suppress a Heaven-rank early-stage master? It would be fine if this Heaven-stage initial-stage expert was just a hired thug, but the key was that he was sent by the headquarters. He was originally the military advisor of the headquarters, so Big Brother Feng couldn't do anything to him. Elder Su, I'm sorry. I failed to live up to the headquarters' trust. Big Brother Feng lowered his head. In front of outsiders, his attitude was very humble. Humph. Dafeng, do you know your crimes? Strategist Zhuge was a Heaven stage expert. Even in our headquarters, a Heaven stage expert is an extremely precious existence. We sent one to you, but you still killed him? I don't think you can atone for your crimes, even if you die. The protector jumped out at this time and pointed at Big Brother Feng angrily. He and military counselor Zhuge were both under the command of the person in charge of the headquarters, so he naturally wanted to seek justice for military counselor Zhuge. You can't blame Brother Dafeng for this. Xiao Tongzi timely blushed and couldn't help but jump out. What does this have to do with Brother Dafeng? Little Tong, what right do you have to speak here? Shut up. Just as the protector was about to reprimand Xiao Tong for not knowing the rules, he didn't expect Big Brother Feng to reprimand him first, so he couldn't take this opportunity to make things difficult for him. However, Elder Su narrowed his eyes, and a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He snorted and said, Dafeng, why don't you let little Tongzi speak? Are you trying to hide something? Xiao Tongzi was one of the parties involved, so he has the most say. Am I right, Protector Qin? Protector Qin also frowned. Although he didn't know the truth of the matter, he knew that Big Brother Feng absolutely wouldn't order military counselor Zhuge. He also knew military counselor Zhuge's character. How could he submit to Big Brother Feng? He came here just to vent his anger. Since Brother Dafeng had the intention to admit his mistake, then it was not impossible to let him be the scapegoat. He didn't expect that Xiao Tongzi, who followed military counselor Zhuge, would jump out from the headquarters. However, since Elder Su said so, what else could Guardian Chen say? He could only say, that's right. Little Tongzi, what do you know? Tell me. Yes. Elder Su, Protector Chun, actually, Big Brother Feng has been wronged. Once Xiao Tongzi came up, he started to complain, although I'm just a small fry who came down from the headquarters with military advisor Zhuge. The two of you should be more familiar with military advisor Zhuge's temper than me, right? When he came here, he did not listen to Brother Dafeng's orders at all. Relying on his Heaven stage expert, he directly overthrew Brother Dafeng's authority. Then he started to do some radical and brainless things. Little Tongzi, what are you doing? Military advisor Zhuge is already dead. Why are you still slandering him? Brother Dafeng reprimanded little Tongzi timely when Protector Chan was about to scold him. Brother Dafeng, let me speak. I believe that with Elder Su and Protector Chun, these two wise people They will definitely know whether I'm right or wrong. Don't scare me. With them supporting me, I'm not afraid of you suppressing me in the future, little Tongzi said passionately. Protector Chun was speechless for a while. He thought to himself, I'm not supporting you. However, if I object at this time, isn't it equivalent to admitting that I'm not wise? He could only remain silent. Elder Su, on the other hand, looked at Brother Defong in surprise. He came a hurry and didn't have the chance to contact Brother Defong alone. He was also afraid that if he contacted Brother Defong alone, it would fall into the eyes of others and bring trouble to him when he sided with Brother Defong. However, what he didn't expect was that Brother Defong seemed to have arranged everything. Dafeng, let him finish speaking. Elder Su humphed coldly. From now on, whoever interrupts little Tongzi's speech means that they have a guilty conscience. Yes, Brother Defong quickly responded, but he was ecstatic. Thank you, Elder Su. Zaya Tongzi hurriedly thanked him and continued. Strategist Zhuge thinks that he's very impressive. He wanted to scam a pharmaceutical company and get them to help transport the drugs. Brother Dafeng also advised him that he doesn't understand the situation here. There are many powerful forces, such as aristocratic families, secular aristocratic families, ancient sects, and so on. They are not to be trifled with, so he told him not to advance rashly. However, he did not listen to Brother Dafeng at all and acted on his own. As he spoke, little Tongzi told him about how military advisor Zhuge wanted Fatty Lai's Miracle Dr. Guan pharmaceutical company to transport drugs, and how Lin Yi killed military advisor Zhuge with one palm. He didn't change much in the details, but he deliberately emphasized how powerful Lin Yi was. One palm killed a Sky Class Master? This time, even Guardian Chen's eyes widened. He knew that military advisor Zhuge was blind and provoked a force that he shouldn't have provoked. He more or less understood the structure of the forces here. A family with a Sky Class Master was at least a hidden noble house, but a Sky Class Master who could easily kill a Sky Class Master was usually from the ancient era. It wasn't an injustice that military advisor Zhuge died after provoking an ancient force. Not to mention the Red Conches, even the Fire Wolf Gang wouldn't easily start a war with the ancient sections. In the end, both sides would suffer great losses. Defong, it seems like I've wronged you. Elder Su nodded and made the final decision with one sentence. It seems that our headquarters didn't consider it thoroughly at that time. We neglected the personal strength and character of military counselor Zhuge. We originally wanted to send him to help you, but we didn't expect the situation to turn out like this. We almost made a powerful enemy for ourselves. Fortunately, this master didn't want to kill us, or else we wouldn't be able to survive in the country. Chapter 2581. Translator, Mr. Voltaire Editor. Modlaws 123 Elder Su and Enforcer Chen left Qing Run City with Advisor Zhuge's body. Big Brother Feng patted Xiao Tongzi's shoulder. Good job. Follow me from now on. Yes. Thank you, Big Brother Feng. Xiao Tongzi knew that his performance today had completely passed the test. Not only was Brother Dafeng fine, but he was also fine. Everything was caused by military advisor Zhuge. After Elder Su and Protector Chen returned, they reported the matter to the 3 leaders of the Red Conch. After the 3 leaders heard about the matter, they also felt that it was too reckless to send military advisor Zhuge. However, the one who made the suggestion was the 3rd leader, who was military advisor Zhuge's backer. At that time, he wanted to let military advisor Zhuge get some benefits. He sent military advisor Zhuge to make Big Brother Dafeng a figurehead so that he could control the branch in the country. However, no one expected things to be so complicated. Not long after military advisor Zhuge went there, he provoked a force that was suspected to be no weaker than the ancient forces and was instantly killed. Of course, although this was unfortunate, there was nothing he could do about it. He could only blame General Zhuge for making a move without investigating the situation. The 3rd leader could only say, I was the one who suggested for General Zhuge to help Dafeng. I was also afraid that an Earth-class master from Dafeng wouldn't be able to handle the situation, but I didn't expect it to backfire. Forget it. The first leader naturally understood the third leader's intention. However, Dauphin's backer was only Elder Sue, not the three leaders. Therefore, the first leader didn't stop it at that time. Now that something had happened, he naturally couldn't blame the third leader. I think we shouldn't rashly send people over. Dauphin is more familiar with that side. His strength is low, but he has always been very stable. Therefore, I think we should let him take the responsibility alone. I agree, the third leader quickly said. Things had already turned out like this. If they sent someone else, who would dare to go? Not to mention that Lin, he might come looking for trouble at any time. With Advisor Zhuge's death as an example, no one else would take the risk to die. Elder Sue narrowed his eyes slightly. Although Big Brother Dafeng might have some trouble in the future, letting Big Brother Dafeng take charge was also beneficial to him, so he naturally did not object. After the three leaders confirmed it, he informed Big Brother Dafeng of the good news. However, the three leaders also warned Dafeng Bro not to provoke Lin Yi and Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Don't even think about revenge. It'd be great if you could rope them in, but don't force them if they didn't want to accept it. The three leaders were all Heaven Stage masters, so they could tell at a glance that Military Counselor Zhuge's injury was caused by a martial arts skill. The person who could activate this kind of martial arts skill was definitely a ruthless person, and there might be a more powerful person behind him. The three leaders were not stupid enough to take revenge. The Red Conches had always prioritized benefits. As for revenge, only the three brothers in charge of the domestic branch could do it. The others were still very indifferent. Even the third leader had never thought about avenging Military Counselor Zhuge. He only thought about how to avoid getting himself involved in this matter. Red Conches made a huge enemy out of nowhere because of Military Counselor Zhuge. It was fine if this enemy didn't make a move, but if he did, could the third leader escape the responsibility? After Dafeng Bro received the good news, his admiration for Lin Yi grew like a raging river. Dafeng Bro decided that Lin Yi was most likely going to destroy Red Conches in the future. When that time came, he would retire and follow Lin Yi as a follower. So, he planned to do less evil things in the future and accumulate more virtue, just in case Lin Yi didn't want him in the future. As for Zhao Qibing, although the Hidden House Zhao's power in Donghai had been declining with Lin Yi's arrival, the Hidden House Han was slowly making its voice heard in Donghai. Of course, everyone knew that they were Lin Yi's spokespeople. Even the Hidden House Zhao knew that, but there was nothing they could do about it. Elder Bai was still half dead when he suddenly heard that Lin Yi had killed a Red Conscious Sky Class. Only a few people knew about this, but it wasn't a secret in the world of practitioners. Lin Yi didn't think that the news would spread so fast. Because Lin Yi didn't tell Qin Tian to keep it a secret. The more the news spread, the better it would be for Lin Yi. This was a very important period for Lin Yi, and Lin Yi could only continue to scare the people in his path so that they wouldn't dare to act rashly. By the time they reacted, he'd already be standing on top of them, and they wouldn't have a chance to retaliate. Qin Tian, Gong Gao, Pai Zhishan, Han Xiaopa, and the others shared Lin Yi's achievements. These people naturally spread the news, and soon, even the Hidden House Zhao knew about it. Zhao Qibing found the thief group, as well as the thief who stole Yu Coiling Tiger's phone. With the thief and phone, he went to Coiling Tiger to show off his achievements. In fact, the reason why he did this was because he wanted Coiling Tiger to let Lin Yi break his leg. Yu Coiling Tiger was very excited when Zhao Qibing found his phone, but when he took it and saw that there was nothing inside, he panicked. Where's the data? Where's the data? Don't worry, Master Yu, the data won't be leaked. When I found this kid, he was swiping the phone on his computer, and the data was all erased. Your XX video can't be leaked. Zhao Qibing said, Fuck your grandma's video. Right Coiled Tiger was so angry that he threw his phone at the thief's face, and his face was instantly covered in blood. XX video? Zhao Qibing paused. Master Yu, your taste is really heavy. Heavy my ass. Can't you tell that I'm swearing? Yu Coiling Tiger didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Master Bing, what I want is the data in the phone. It's very important. It's a document. This. Why didn't you say so earlier? I didn't know. Zhao Qibing shook his head. But you promised me that you'd help me find Lin Yi to break my leg. You can't go back on your word. I don't care if you want or not. I found the phone for you. Fine, fine, fine. Isn't it just asking Lin Yi to break your leg? I'll help you. You coiling tiger didn't deny it. In fact, he didn't think it was a big deal. Chapter 2582. All right, I'll definitely create a chance for you. Yu Panhu waved his hand weakly and picked up his phone from the floor. He dialed Lin Yi's number. Luckily, he remembered Lin Yi's number, or he would have erased his contact book. The only good thing was that the SIM card was still there. Lin Yi had just finished dinner with the girls when he returned to the villa. He was cooking medicine for Wang Xinyan when his phone rang. It was Yu Panhu's number. He picked it up. Yu Panhu, what's up? That? Lin Yi, classmate. Do you want to have fun? Yu Panhu wasn't stupid. He wouldn't say that he lost the information and wanted to get another copy. There was an 80% chance that Lin Yi wouldn't give it to him. He changed his method. Are you crazy? I'm busy. Do you have something to say? If not, I'm hanging up. Lin Yi said, confused. Don't. Wait. Yu Panhu quickly said, Lin Yi, don't hang up yet. I have something to say. Just say it, Lin Yi said. It's like this, Lin Yi. Do you want to beat Zhao Qibing up? I heard that you and Zhao Qibing have a conflict. I can give you a chance. Yu Panhu tempted. No, I'm hanging up if there's nothing else. Lin Yi hung up. Fuck, this didn't make sense. Yu Panhu looked at the phone in his hand. He hesitated and dialed again. Lin Yi, don't hang up yet. Listen to me first. Oh, go ahead. Lin Yi continued cooking medicine for Wang Xinyan. It's not a waste of my phone bill. You can beat Zhao Qibing up. For example, break his legs. I promise he won't fight back. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to send me the information you gave me before. How's that? Isn't that great? Right Coiling Tiger originally wanted to extort something from Lin Yi, but seeing that Lin Yi wasn't interested, he could only lower his demands. He only wanted information. Break his legs? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, but then he smiled and said, You don't even want to give me money, and you want me to give you something? Are you dreaming? If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Bye. Right Coiling Tiger frowned. He felt strange. Logically speaking, it was fun to let Lin Yi break Zhao Qibing's legs. If Lin Yi asked him to beat him up for free, he would do it without hesitation, even if he had to spend money. But Lin Yi rejected it, and he said he wouldn't call even if I paid him. Yu Coiling Tiger felt that things were not as simple as he had imagined. His idea of exchanging for information was no longer feasible. Left with no choice, Yu Panhu dialed Lin Yi's number again. Right Coiling Tiger, are you done yet? If you have more money, then top up my phone bill. Lin Yi said impatiently. Sure, I have more money. How much will I top up? As long as you send me another copy of the previous information, I'll top up for you. Right Coiling Tiger said. Top up 1 million, and I'll give you the information. Lin Yi hung up immediately. 1 million? Right Coiling Tiger clicked his tongue. That was quite a lot. However, this amount of money was really nothing to the second young master of House Yu. It was just that this money was a bit of a scam. He lost his phone, and he lost 1 million. How could he be so unlucky? However, he still had to top up. Right Coiling Tiger wasn't afraid of Lin Yi making conditions. He was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't make any conditions. As long as he made a condition, Right Coiling Tiger would try his best to satisfy it. He directly asked the yellow hair to top up 1 million for Lin Yi's phone number. Lin Yi was brewing medicine when his cell phone's text message prompt sounded. Lin Yi thought that Right Coiling Tiger didn't call and started to use his cell phone to harass him. However, when he opened his cell phone, he was stunned. The text message said, Dear user, the payment is successful. The amount paid this time is 1 million. What? He paid 1 million in phone bill? Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at the number on the cell phone. Could it be that the system sent the wrong number? Just as he was wondering, Right Coiling Tiger's call came in again. Right Coiling Tiger, what else do you want? Asked Lin Yi helplessly. Lin Yi, I topped up 1 million for your phone bill. You have to keep your word. You should send me the information, right? Asked Right Coiling Tiger. Did you pay the phone bill for me? Lin Yi broke into a sweat. He was just joking perfunctorily with Right Coiling Tiger. He didn't expect the kid to take it seriously. I'm just joking with you. I'm not joking. Quickly send me the information. If you don't give it to me, I'll keep the evidence of the payment. When the time comes, I'll tell Boss By that you cheated a classmate. Right Coiling Tiger said anxiously. All right. Is the information from before, right? I'll get Jing Jing to send you another copy. However, Lin, he was a little puzzled. Right Coiling Tiger already had a copy. Why did he spend 1 million to buy another? Did this person have too much money and nowhere to spend it? Hence, he said, where's the information for before? The information from before. I deleted it by mistake. Right Coiling Tiger was embarrassed to say that he had been robbed, so he could only say that he had deleted it by mistake. Oh, Lin, he didn't ask further. He thought that this Right Coiling Tiger was really despicable. 1 million was gone just like that. After hanging up the phone, Lin called Han Jingjing to send another copy to Right Coiling Tiger. After receiving the email, Right Coiling Tiger finally let out a sigh of relief. The road to happiness was strewn with setbacks. Right Coiling Tiger unlocked his phone and was about to receive the email when his face suddenly changed. He cursed, "What the heck? It's an email, an email. It's not a text." Right Coiling Tiger realized that in the cloud mailbox, there was still the email from Han Jingjing. He stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Why didn't he think of this before? His IQ was really low. 1 million was gone, just like that. The worst part was that he had agreed to Zhao Qibing's ridiculous request to get Lin Yi to break his leg. Right Coiling Tiger still didn't know how this request could be fulfilled. If he begged Lin Yi, he might not have to give Lin Yi anything good. That guy was like a vampire. He wouldn't release the eagle until he saw the rabbit. But who asked him to ask for his help? Right Coiling Tiger sighed. He got into the car and headed towards the hidden new house with the yellow-haired and purple-haired men. Originally, he wanted to go home and ask his grandpa for this 1 million, but now he didn't dare to mention it. It was too stupid. Right Coiling Tiger could only grit his teeth and bear it with his pocket money. Chapter 2583. You Coiling Tiger finally breathed a sigh of relief. Old Master Yu waved his hand and gave you Coiling Tiger a bonus of 20 million yuan. This made you Coiling Tiger very happy. It was equivalent to earning 19 million yuan without any losses. Lenny didn't know what Panhu Right was thinking, charging him 1 million for no reason at all, just so he could get the information again. Was there something wrong with him? Xin Yan, on the other hand, fell into a deep sleep after drinking the soup Lin Yi brewed. Lin Yi, on the other hand, held her in his arms and started practicing. At this rate, reaching the second stage of the art of dragon mastery was only a matter of time. Lin Yi was very much looking forward to the third time the stone door would open. Who knew what good stuff would be in there? What kind of unexpected benefits would the third stage of the art of dragon mastery bring him? The second stage had already benefited Lin Yi a lot. Compared to the first stage of the art of dragon mastery, not only did it speed up the healing process and increase the strength of others, but more importantly, it allowed him to practice an all-purpose technique. This all-purpose technique had basically become Lin Yi's life-saving trump card. It was even easier to use than Qi bombs. Qi bombs were too dangerous, and it was a move that killed 1,000 enemies while sacrificing 800. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lin Yi wouldn't use it. But a combo skill was different. The 7th form, Fire 8 trigrams Palm, used up most of Lin Yi's energy, but it was better than getting hurt. As for breaking through to the late stage of Earth class, Lin Yi hadn't found the right opportunity yet. He felt like he was missing something. Maybe he'd leveled up too fast recently, and he'd finally reached a bottleneck. In actuality, Lin Yi really wanted to have a battle of life and death. Most of the time, a breakthrough could only be found in battle. Lin Yi found most of his opportunities in battle, and he rarely broke through naturally. However, fighting was something that could only be discovered by luck. For example, Strategist Zhuge was an early phase Sky class master. If Lin Yi didn't kill him in one move and fight him slowly, Lin Yi would definitely lose in the end. Lin Yi only had the 7th form of Fire 8 trigrams Palm to rely on. If Zhuge managed to dodge or defend, then it'd be Lin Yi's nightmare. And if Lin Yi didn't use the 7th form of fire, 8 trigrams palm, he wouldn't be Zhuge's opponent. So, Lin Yi could only choose to kill Zhuge quickly instead of looking for an opportunity to level up. That was purely looking for trouble. The night passed peacefully, and Lin Yi received a call from the phone bro the next morning. Lin Yi wasn't too surprised. It was all within his expectations. He only told the phone bro to try to build a good relationship with the people in the headquarters. It would be best if he could find out the location of the base, but if he couldn't, he had to climb up to the headquarters as soon as possible and take charge of more things. He'd be able to get in touch with some of the secrets of the base. Originally, after this call, Lin Yi thought he could go to school in peace, but he didn't expect to see Zhu Laoda at the entrance of the villa. Mr. Lin. Zhu Laoda walked over carefully and said respectfully, Zhu Laoda, why are you here? Why aren't you by Chunxi's side? Why are you here? Lin Yi was a bit confused. Ahem. It's like this. Master Bing asked me to come back to do something, so I came to visit my brother. Zhu Laoda hesitated and looked at Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, you see the thing you said before? Lin Yi was slightly stunned. It's about treating my brother. Zhu Laoda was shocked. He thought that Lin Yi wouldn't deny it, right? Oh, you're talking about that. Lin Yi suddenly understood. If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you talking in riddles? You said that I can treat Zhu Lao heir's injury at any time, but there's a problem. How are you going to tell the hidden Zhao family after I treat him? Zhu Laoda's face changed. Yeah, if Zhu Lao heir's injury suddenly healed, then what would he say? One had to know that the second Zhu brother's injuries weren't lighter than Elder Bai's, and the only person in the world who could heal him was Lin Yi. Then, there was the Sky Elixir Sex 3rd level Great Recovery Pill, but with the Hidden House Zhao's strength, it wasn't something they could get their hands on, let alone Boss Zhu. If Zhu Lao heir's injury suddenly healed, then the hidden Zhao family wouldn't be suspicious. If they asked, Zhu Laoda really wouldn't know what to say. So, I can treat him, but you have to think of a perfect excuse. If you say I treated him, then your identity will be exposed. Lin Yi said. I was too impatient. I didn't think of this. Zhu Laoda smiled bitterly. Then I'll bring my brother back and wait for a suitable excuse. Oh, you brought Zhu Lao heir here? Lin Yi paused. Yeah, he's in the car outside. Zhu Laoda said. I see. Lin Yi didn't want him to go back now that Zhu Lao heir was here. He was in a dilemma when Yushu spoke up. Chill bro, that's easy. Shu is a good idea. Yushu heard the conversation between Lin Yi and Zhu Laoda. She didn't know why Zhu Laoda turned traitor, but as long as he was Lin Yi's follower now, Yushu should help him out. Oh, Miss Chin, what idea do you have? If it really works, then you'll be my brother's savior. Zhu Laoda said eagerly as he looked at Yushu. What miss? That sound bad. Call me the universe's super invincible, cute genius prophecy, secret detective, spy, Shu 007. Yushu said. All right then. Universe's super invincible, cute genius prophecy, secret detective, spy, Shu 007. What idea do you have? Zhu Laoda was speechless as he repeated the long name. He really would have forgotten it if he didn't have a good memory. What the fuck? Zhu Laoda wiped the cold sweat off his forehead after repeating the name. Ha. Tell Shield Bro to treat your brother's injury first, but don't tell anyone when we get back. Keep acting like he's injured. Yushu said. That's easy. As long as he doesn't use his practitioner's arts, no one can tell how strong he is. But you can't hide it forever, can you? Zhu Laoda asked curiously. Chapter 2584. What trap? Both Lin Yi and Boss Zhu's mouths twitched. Yushu's move was too much of a scam, scamming people to death. Whoever bumped into her would be unlucky. Isn't that a bit too much? Boss Zhu asked after a while. Haven't you heard of this saying? You're already a traitor, so why do you care? Yushu said as she looked at Boss Zhu in disdain. You're right. Boss Zhu nodded after some hesitation. All right, it's decided then. But Yao Wang won't suspect anything, right? Who the hell is Yao Wang? How can he be as good as Shield Bro? He can't even deal with a bunch of lightning rods. He's just too weak compared to Shield Bro. I think he should change his name to Lightning Rod King. Yushu said. That's good. Boss Zhu nodded. And so, Meng Yao, Yushu, Xinyan, Han Jingjing, and Han Xiaoqiao went to school first, while Linny stayed at home to treat Zhu second. When Zhu second got off the car, Linny glanced at him shocked. Once upon a time, he'd seen Zhu's second in high spirits, but now he looked like an old man with one foot in the grave, even older than Boss Zhu. It was evident that he hadn't been having a good time recently, but it was unavoidable. He used to be a practitioner, and his position in the hidden house was high. But now, he was just a normal cripple, and it was already good enough that the hidden house gave him a place to live. This was also for Boss Zhu's sake, but it was impossible for them to respect him and care for him like they usually did. Even Zhao Qibing, who said that he would treat Zhu second, stopped trying to recruit him after he became the heir. He didn't even look at him, and it had been a long time since he contacted Boss Zhu. After all, the eldest Zhu's job was to keep an eye on Shen Shi, and he couldn't stay by Qibing's side all day. The second Zhu, on the other hand, was a cripple, and Qibing didn't have the time to take care of him. It could be said that the Zhu brothers had been forgotten for a long time. This was why old Zhu second was so angry. His injury was all because of Zhao Qibing, and Zhao Qibing wanted to help him find a way to recover. He was very touched and dragged Boss Zhu to join Zhao Qibing. But ever since Zhao Qibing officially joined the hidden house and his identity changed, he didn't care about the second Zhu anymore. He didn't mention anything about healing the second Zhu anymore, instead saying that he wanted to heal Elder Bai. How could Zhu Lao not be angry? Old Zhu's second understood that Zhao Qibing was just a hypocrite, trying to recruit the two brothers to fight against Zhao Qikuan. Now that Zhao Qibing was done for, he was about to die in the Sky Elixir sex test. Zhao Qibing didn't care at all. He didn't need to recruit anyone, and the second Zhu was selectively forgotten. This was also the reason why Boss Zhu chose to rely on Linny. The two of them were very loyal to Zhao Qibing, but what did they get in return? Nothing compared to an enemy who cared about them. They knew that Lin Yi was probably using them, but Lin Yi was using them openly and clearly. It was like a business deal, and so the second Zhu was leaning towards Lin Yi. But after seeing the enemy who was grinding his teeth, old Zhu's second felt very awkward. He didn't dare raise his head to look at Lin Yi. Old Zhu, what are you doing? Greet Mr. Lin. Boss Zhu frowned and secretly kicked old Zhu second. Greet Mr. Lin. Old Zhu didn't have a choice. He had no choice but to raise his head. I've offended you in the past. I hope Mr. Lin doesn't take it to heart. Old Zhu, what are you talking about? Boss Zhu was disappointed. Why did he have to say all this? The fact that Lin Yi had asked him to heal meant that he didn't care about what had happened in the past. But Lin Yi was still nagging. That's right. We used to work for different masters. You guys were Zhao Qibing's men, working for him, so we were enemies. But now, your brother is my man, and if you work for me in the future, we'll be on the same side. Linny nodded. Since we're on the same side, I can promise that no matter how serious your injuries are, as long as you're still breathing, I'll do my best to heal you. As for your future training, just leave it to me. Boss Zhu and I are only Earth-class experts at the moment, so I can't help him. I can only help him after I advance to Sky class, but I can help you advance to the early stage of Earth class. Mr. Lin, you're such a good person. Old Zhu second, don't know how to talk, but I know that you're not lying. You're a man of your words. I also know that you're just using us, but we'll prove to you that we're not any weaker than your underlings. Old Zhu's second said sincerely. And Lin Yi waved his hand. Let's not talk about this. Let's go heal first. In actuality, Lin Yi's promise to the Zhu brothers was nothing to him, but he said it in such a serious manner, using this kind of manipulative method. It was a smart move on Lin Yi's part. If he did it like how Zhao Qibing did, then the Zhu brothers wouldn't believe him. But when Lin Yi said the benefits in detail, the Zhu brothers couldn't help but be tempted. The conditions were too good, and even though they knew that Lin Yi was using them, they couldn't reject it. Lin Yi's way of playing hard to get made them want to become Lin Yi's underlings even more. From their point of view, there were so many benefits just from being used. If they became Lin Yi's underling, wouldn't there be even more benefits? Look at Wu Qintian, Han Xiaopa, and the others. Even now, old Zhao didn't dare kill Qikuan. He didn't have the heart to do it before, but now that Elderby had fallen, he wanted to get rid of Qikuan as soon as possible. Qikuan was Lin Yi's underling, and dying in the Sky Elixir sex test had nothing to do with the Hidden House Zhao. But if he died in old Zhao's hands, then he'd be in big trouble. Chapter 2585. A Magical Potion. Old Master. I have something important to report. Boss Zhu said carefully. What is it? Say it. Old man Zhao's face softened and waved his hand, signaling Boss Zhu to continue. It's like this. Didn't my second brother's meridians get damaged too? When I was in Songzhan City, I asked around about how to heal meridians, and when I was scavenging, I met a heaven-class master. Boss Zhu said, What? Heaven-class master? Old man Zhao didn't care at first, but when he heard Boss Zhu say heaven-class master, he stood up. Are you kidding me? How can there be so many heaven-class masters? How could I just meet one when I was scavenging? Old master, how can I joke about this? Boss Zhu smiled bitterly. I can't see through the heaven-class master's strength, but it should be at the peak of the late stage of heaven-class. Fuck. How is that possible? Old man Zhao couldn't help but curse. Those are existences on the level of sect masters and elders in the ancient times. How can they casually enter and exit the secular world? Even if they came to do something, you wouldn't meet them, right? Boss Zhu, you're just trying to have fun with me, right? Old master, I wouldn't dare. That old man seems to have some mental problems. Although he's strong, he's very silly, like an old madman. Boss Zhu said, From what I see, he must have gone mad from his cultivation. Ugh. After old master Zhao heard it, he nodded. If it was a madman, then it was possible. Moreover, it made sense to meet him when he was scavenging. Is this the big thing you want to talk about? Even if it's a heaven-class master, it has nothing to do with our hidden Zhao family, right? And he's a madman. It's hard to recruit this kind of person. Patriarch, I'm not talking about that. I was asking that crazy heaven-rank old man about my younger brother's injuries. He gave me a potion called the Filter of Barrier Breaking. As the name implies, it can be used to break through barriers. After taking it, not only can it heal the internal injuries, but it can also allow one to break through the barrier and become a higher-level expert. Boss Zhu said with a solemn expression. Really? Old man Zhao's eyes widened. This was the first time he had heard of such a potion, but since it was concocted by a heaven stage expert, it shouldn't be fake. It was just that the heaven stage expert was an old madman. Would there be a problem? He's telling the truth. I don't know if it's true or not, but I remember that Elderby is like my brother, with damaged meridians, so I asked him to make 2 portions. Boss Zhu said carefully. A heaven stage expert is so obedient? Old Master Zhao looked at Boss Zhu suspiciously. Boss Zhu, why did you ask him to do it? Actually, I didn't think that he was a heaven stage expert. Seeing that he was wearing tattered clothes and was starving to death on the ground, I thought that he was a tramp. Seeing that we are both scavengers, I bought him a few steamed buns. In the end, he was extremely grateful to me after eating them. If he wants to repay me, he can help me do something. Boss Zhu continued according to Yushu's story. At the time, I was thinking, what can a tramp like you help me with? But after he ate, he suddenly revealed his heaven stage strength and scared me. So I told him what was bothering me, and he agreed without hesitation. You know that he has mental problems, so he's probably easier to talk to. This morning, I just got back to Songzhan, and that old crazy tramp gave me the potion. So I came back as soon as I could. So that's how it is. Old Master Zhao nodded. Boss Zhu's words made him put down his doubts. Boss Zhu's identity was a scavenger, so he had to act like a scavenger as much as possible. It was reasonable for him to occasionally help his peers who were about to die. What about the senior? He finished the concoction, told me how to use it and what to pay attention to, and left. Old Master, you know that he's a Sky rank master. I'm just an Earth rank master. How could I force him to stay? Boss Zhu said helplessly. That's true, old Zhao said. It'd be weird if Boss Zhu had brought a sky class back. He thought about it. Then what about the potion? What did that elder tell you? This potion looks good, but it has a fatal flaw. Boss Zhu said, if the person who uses it doesn't succeed, they'll explode and bleed from all 7 orifices. If they succeed, then everything's fine. What? There's a chance of success? Old Zhao was thinking that Elder Bai's recovery was a blessing for House Zhao, but before he could celebrate, Boss Zhu threw a bucket of cold water at him, calming him down quite a bit. His eyes sharpened as he looked at Boss Zhu. How come I've never heard of this potion before? How can someone die if they don't have any effect? Yeah, I'm curious too. Boss Zhu wasn't scared at all. That's why I didn't just give it to my brother, and came to you first. I'm confused as well. Why is this potion so strange? You did well. Old Zhao nodded. Where's the potion? Here. Boss Zhu carefully took out 2 packets of potion and put them on the table. Elder Mian, go find the Medicine King. Old man, Zhao ordered outside the door. Yes. Elder Mian responded and quickly went to find Yao Wang. Not long after, he and Zhao Yaowang entered Grandfather Zhao's room. Greetings, old master. Yao Wang didn't know why old Zhao called him here, so he asked carefully, you were looking for me? Yao Wang, look at what this potion is. Old Zhao pointed at the 2 packets and explained, I heard that this potion is called the filter of barrier breaking. As he spoke, old Master Zhao explained the effects and side effects of medicine once more. After Zhao Yao Wang heard this, his expression became very interesting. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. This thing wasn't a pill, it was just a potion. However, it had such a miraculous effect. He had never heard of such a thing before. But this was something made by a heaven-ranked expert. He didn't dare to look down on it. He carefully took a clean bowl and opened the packet of potion. He poured out the contents and carefully examined it. Chapter 2586. It's effective. Yao Wang wanted to increase his strength and break through the armband. But this potion was too mysterious. There was a chance of death, and so he'd rather not try it. His meridians weren't severed, and it wasn't worth the risk. Elder Zhao, naturally, knew what Yao Wang was thinking. He couldn't tell what the potion was, so he hesitated. After a while, his eyes brightened, and he turned to Zhu Boss. Zhu Boss, you asked for this potion to help your brother recover, right? Elder Zhao asked. Yes, Zhu Boss answered honestly. All right, if that's the case, then let him use it. Old Zhao's face didn't change. Normally, such an important potion should be given to the family, one for Elder Bai and the other for safekeeping. But since you're the one who found it, I can't disappoint my men, so I'll give you one back. Give it to him as soon as possible. Zhu Boss's face changed, turning red. He had expected this, and everything was going according to Yushu's plan. But hearing Elder Zhao say this shamelessly, Zhu Boss was still furious. The 2 brothers had been working for the hidden Zhao family all these years. Even if they didn't have any merits, they had still worked hard. However, not only did old Master Zhao let the second brother Zhu test the medicine, he also shamelessly said that the 2 medicines would belong to the family, and he even gave one to the eldest brother Zhu. Could it be that if the potion didn't have side effects, Elder Zhao wouldn't even give him one? With that thought, Zhu Boss felt sorrowful. It seemed like joining Lin, he was too smart. Serving these 2 Zhaos wouldn't end well. Even a dog should have dignity. What, Zhu Boss? You don't want to? If you don't want to, I'll just find a random disciple of House Zhao and let him use it. But then, Zhu Boss won't get a share. Elder Zhao saw that Zhu Boss wasn't willing, so he threatened. It wasn't that he didn't want to find a disciple to try, but there were only 2 potions, and after trying one, who would he give the other one to? Should he give it to Elder Zhu or Elder Bai? Logically speaking, it should be given to the second Zhu, since he was the one who asked for it, and he didn't keep it for himself. He reported it to the family first, but for the family's benefit, Elder Bai breaking through was more beneficial. And so old Zhao had no choice but to let the second Zhu be the test subject. Yushu had already set up their psychology, and everything was going according to plan. I am willing. Boss Zhu took a deep breath and nodded. Originally, I asked for this potion for my second brother so that he could recover his meridians. Since he is already like this, it's better to let him have a try with the mentality of success or death instead of wasting his time like this. Well, it's good that you think that way. Old man Zhao nodded in satisfaction and said, Boss Zhu, why don't you invite your brother over? Okay, I'll bring him over now. Boss Zhu nodded and said quickly, Elder Mian, bring Elder Bai here too. Old Zhao turned to Elder Mian. Yes, head. Elder Mian quickly nodded, but he felt a little sour inside. These days, because of Elder Bai's injury, he had replaced Elder Bai's position in the family, becoming one of the closest people to old Zhao. If Elder Bai came back, what would he do? He didn't want to lose the position that he had worked so hard to get. But he couldn't go against old Zhao's wishes. He could only invite Elder Bai over. But as soon as he left, he thought it through. Yes, Elder Bai had recovered, but he would also break through to Sky Class. At that time, would Sky Class still be able to serve old Zhao like before? Clearly, it was impossible. Since he had reached Heaven Stage, he would definitely want to continue cultivating. Even old man Zhao would not let him do these menial chores. When the time came, these matters would still fall onto old Mian's shoulders. Thinking about this, Elder Mian was happy. Soon, the second Zhu and Elder Bai came. Both of them came in wheelchairs. Although the second Zhu could walk, he didn't want to. Everyone understood that going from a practitioner to a cripple, anyone would be depressed. Elder Bai was even more so. Although he had woken up, his eyes were sunken. He looked like someone who hadn't rested for many days. His face was yellow and skinny, and he didn't have any energy. But when he heard that there was medicine that could help him recover, his eyes shone with a strange light. Although second brother Zhu was a little happy, he knew that he was a tester, so his eyes still flashed with nervousness and worry from time to time. These subtle expressions were also noticed by Grandpa Zhao. Although he didn't suspect anything, he felt more relieved after seeing these subtle expressions. Second brother Zhu, the medicine is here. This is the medicine your brother painstakingly obtained. I hope you won't waste it. As Grandfather Zhao spoke, he had Elder Mian pass one of the bowls of medicine to second brother Zhu. Second brother Zhu took a deep breath and took the bowl with a determined look in his eyes. Then he raised the bowl and drank all the potion in one gulp. Ugh, hi! The second Zhu's hand suddenly shook, and the bowl fell to the ground, shattering. His face turned red. Although he was prepared for this, and knew that the medicine he drank would be fine, the pain still made him take a deep breath. The second Zhu's pained expression fell into everyone's eyes. Everyone had different expressions. The eldest Zhu was very worried, but old Zhao, Yao Wang, Elder Mian, and Elder Bai were looking forward to it. The second Zhu was in pain, but they knew that repairing his meridians would be painful, and breaking through the barrier would be difficult. This was normal. As long as he didn't die and could hold on, then it was half a success. Soon, white steam came out of the second Zhu's head, and his face became twisted. He panted heavily, and the huff, huff, huff didn't stop. It was as painful as one could imagine. Chapter 2587. Chapter 2597. Elder Bai's tragedy. Actually, old Zhu's second was very spirited. His injuries were just an act, but the pain wasn't fake. Lin, he was right. This poison really did make people want to die. Although he had taken the antidote, the pain didn't lessen at all. It was just that the antidote won against the poison in the end. A dash! Old Zhu's second screamed again, filled with the joy of breaking through the barrier. He then revealed his Earth-class early phase strength. I'm healed, and I broke through. Healed and broke through? Apart from old Zhu, everyone else's eyes were wide open. They didn't think that the medicine was real. It really fixed old Zhu's meridians and helped him break through from Mystic to Earth class. Good medicine, really good medicine. Elder Bai said shakily, I want to use it to wait. Old Zhu suddenly spoke. Oh, Elder Zhao was just about to let Elder Mian give the other bowl to Elder Bai, but he heard Elder Zhu stop him. He turned around unhappily and frowned. What do you want now, Elder Zhu? Old head, you saw it for yourself. Second brother has recovered and broken through the barrier, but how painful is that? His wounds aren't as bad as Elder Bai's, but he's still in so much pain. I'm afraid that Elder Bai won't be able to take it, Old Zhu said seriously. Plus, who knows if there will be any side effects? Shouldn't we observe it first? Old Zhao wasn't too happy. Old Zhu, are you not willing to give it to Elder Bai after seeing how good it is? Do you want to keep it for yourself? I'm telling you, you can't do that. You didn't know the effects before, and you came to me to ask Yao Wang for help. When I let Old Zhu use it, you weren't too willing, but now that it's good, you want to keep it for yourself. I really didn't mean that. Old Zhu smiled bitterly and shook his head. All right, no need. Let's ask for Elder Bai's opinion. Old Zhao waved his hand impatiently. Elder Bai, what do you mean? I want to take it now. Old Patriarch, you also know that my current condition is worse than death. If I can return to serving the family one day earlier, I naturally don't want to delay it. Elder Bai said, plus, I used to be stronger than the second Zhu. If he can make it, there's no reason I can't. Okay, but how about this? Yao Wang, go and check second brother Zhu to see if there are any problems in his body. Will there be any sequelae? Old Master Zhao was more comprehensive, so he turned his head and looked at Yao Wang. Yes, Patriarch. Yao Wang wasn't as good as Lin Yi, but he could still check second brother's body. If there were any problems, he would be fine, but he wouldn't be able to heal him. So Yao Wang said confidently, there's no way you can escape my eyes. After that, he began to give second brother Zhu a comprehensive examination. However, his examination was too late. If he didn't do the examination earlier, he might find that second brother Zhu's injury had actually healed a long time ago. But if he did the examination now, there would be a problem if the injury wasn't healed. Plus, the poison was gone and the antidote was gone. His strength had increased, so what could he find? As expected, after a while, Yao Wang said happily, Old Patriarch, second brother Zhu's body is normal. There's nothing strange. He's full of energy, and his meridians are fine. There's no sequelae. Oh, that's good. Old Zhao nodded. If that's the case, then give Elder Bai the other filter of barrier breaking. Yes. Elder Mian quickly picked up the other bowl and gave it to Elder Bai. Elder Bai didn't hesitate to raise his head and drink it all in one gulp. Ugh. Elder Bai's reaction was the same as the second Zhu after drinking the medicine. His hand shook and the bowl fell to the ground. His face turned purple, and he took in a deep breath. Because of what happened to the second Zhu, Elder Bai's pained expression became normal in everyone's eyes, so they didn't worry too much. But only the oldest Zhu and the second Zhu knew that Elder Bai's situation was the same as the second Zhu's at the beginning. But the result was different. Elder Bai didn't take the antidote, so the only result was death. Ah! Elder Bai screamed, and his face became even paler. But no one cared, because this was the same as second brother Zhu's. It wasn't a big deal. Around an hour later, just as everyone was waiting to see Elder Bai's meridians heal and step into heaven realm, Elder Bai suddenly screamed even louder. Ah! Pong! And then there was a loud sound, and blood poured out of Elder Bai's orifices. His legs went limp, and he fell to the ground, as if he couldn't take it anymore. This, other than the eldest Zhu and second brother Zhu, everyone else was dumbfounded. What was going on? Why did Elder Bai suddenly die? What's going on? Old Zhao was the first to recover from his shock. His voice was filled with anger. Eldest Zhu, what's going on? How did Elder Bai die? I don't know. The eldest Zhu was panicking as well. He was sweating. I don't know what's going on either. One had to admit that the eldest Zhu's acting was quite good. He was acting like he didn't know and was scared, but it was understandable. He had been acting in front of Chun Shi and her daughter all these years. If his acting wasn't good, wouldn't he have been exposed a long time ago? Although he couldn't fool Lin Yi, that was because Lin Yi had a golden finger. He could see the eldest Zhu's true strength. But old Zhao didn't suspect the eldest Zhu anymore. If there really was a problem with the eldest Zhu, he wouldn't be this scared. He knew he was going to poison Elder Bai, so why would he be scared? At this time, Zhao Yaowang had already started checking Elder Bai's condition. He frowned and carefully examined the body. Zhao Yaowang was actually a very capable person. Although he lost to Lin Yi time and time again, he was still quite famous in the hidden houses. Otherwise, when Zhihai was injured, Elder Bai wouldn't have put so much hope in him. Chapter 2588. Sihua's departure wasn't to the point where he lost his composure, but it was still quite saddening. Elder Bai had been with him for decades, and now he was dead. How could he accept that? Even if he was injured before, Elder Zhao thought that there was still hope. The great recovery pill was out of his reach, but it wasn't impossible. But now that he was dead, there was no way he could come back to life. Reporting to the head, from the looks of it, Elder Bai failed his breakthrough, causing his blood to flow backwards and explode. This is something that happens when a practitioner tries to force their breakthrough. Yaowang was an expert in medicine, and he knew quite a bit about practitioners. Elder Bai's death wasn't rare either. When a practitioner tried to break through, there would always be a certain amount of danger. But some people were just a sliver away from breaking through, and the danger was lower. At most, they would fail, but they wouldn't die. Forcing a breakthrough was when a practitioner reached a certain age and knew that they didn't have long to live. If they didn't break through to the next level, they'd die for sure, and so they'd choose to force it. In other words, this person still had a long way to go, but because they didn't have much time left, they'd use some sort of secret technique to force themselves to break through. This was life or death isolation, and if they didn't break through, they'd die. Yaowang knew about the signs of death after that. Failed to break through? Although Grandpa Zhao hadn't seen it before, he had heard of it. Hearing Yaowang's conclusion, his face softened a lot. Recalling what Zhu Lao had told him before, he turned to look at Zhu Lao. Zhu Lao is this filter of barrier breaking the legendary liquid used to forcefully break through? I don't know. Zhu Lao's face was pale. The Sky class only told me that I either recover and break through, or I die. Then it has to be. Elder Zhao nodded. Now that he thought about it, it really was similar to a life or death isolation. He just didn't think about it at the time. It's fine, it's not your fault. You don't know either. Thank you for understanding, head. Zhu Lao let out a breath of relief. From the looks of it, the second Zhu is holding on, but Elder Bai isn't. The world is unpredictable, Old Man Zhao said, but it's still a cause for celebration. Our hidden Zhao family now has another Earth-class early phase master. It's a good thing. Thank you for your trust, Master. We brothers will do our best to serve the family. Eldest Zhu and second Zhu quickly said. However, Boss Zhu's heart was filled with disdain. He sneered, "Serve my ass. We'll serve Boss Lin Yi from now on. This matter is our hidden Zhao family's absolute secret. I don't think the Heaven Stage expert would want us to talk about it." Elder Zhao sighed. Elder Mian, give Elder Bai proper burial. He's the hero of our hidden house Zhao. As for second brother Zhu, since you're healed, you should stay by Zhao Qibing's side. Eldest brother Zhu, you should go back to Songshan and take care of Chen Shi. Yes, everyone agreed, and eldest Zhu and second Zhu let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Yushu's idea was a good one. She'd successfully tricked Elder Zhao and Yaowang, but Elder Bai was a bit unlucky. He died with regret and regret. Back in Songshan, Sihua received a warning from Zhou Tiandi. Sihua was about to explode in anger. How so was just a small family in Songshan, a nobody compared to him. They were nothing more than characters like Zhong Fabai used to be. But Tiandi had Lin Yi behind him, and Sihua wasn't sure what Tiandi's intentions were. He asked carefully, and what he found shocked him. It was Lin Yi's idea, and Lin Yi had arranged for another follower of his, Hidden House Shuang, to come to Songshan and take over some of Sihua's businesses. This made Sihua extremely depressed. How did Hidden House Shuang become Lin Yi's follower? If it was just Zhou Tiandi, Sihua would have been a bit more forceful. After all, he could tell that Lin Yi wasn't that close to House Zhou. It was just that Zhou Tiandi took the initiative to be his lackey. But with Hidden House Shuang, Sihua wouldn't be able to fight them alone. After ending the call with Tiandi, Sihua quickly reported the situation to Zhao Qibing, waiting for him to make a decision. Hello. Zhao Qibing was very happy to have another early phase Earth-class fighter. Although he was also an early phase Earth-class master, his combat strength was obviously weaker. He relied entirely on elixirs to get to where he was, and he seriously lacked actual battle experience. So, he felt that it was a good thing that Zhu II was joining them. He was in a good mood. Sihua, what's up? Master Bing, Zhou Tiandi came looking for me just now. Sihua said as he told Zhao Qibing about Zhou Tiandi representing Lin, Yi, and Hidden House Zhuang to take over Songshan's businesses. Sihua had more or less shares in the entertainment industry in Songshan, and although he didn't participate in the management, he still had a lot of shares. He wasn't willing to just pull them out like that. What? Hidden House Zhuang has become Lin Yi's follower? Zhao Qibing was shocked and angered by Sihua's report. He never would have thought that Hidden House Zhuang would be working for Lin Yi. This made him feel a little incredulous. Is this news true or false? I'm not sure, but Zhou Tiandi said it so confidently. He wouldn't joke about Lin Yi and Hidden House Zhuang, would he? He doesn't have the guts to do something like that. He can't afford to offend either of them. Sihua said. This was why he wasn't angry. Zhou Tiandi was a coward, and he shouldn't be spouting nonsense about something like this. HM, how about this? I'll ask around, and I'll get back to you. Zhao Qibing hung up and called Zhuang Niadeo. At this moment, Zhuang Niadeo had received his family's decision to officially become Lin Yi's follower. Zhuang Niaoqiang wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Thank goodness he hadn't offended Lin Yi recently. He had a few meals with Tiger Wright and Li Biaohan, but he hadn't participated in anything that happened to Lin Yi. After the conflict at the beginning of the semester, he hadn't offended Lin Yi. It was a relief. Chapter 2589. Chapter 2599, Drunken Centipede, and so, he'd been thinking hard these past few days. How could he find a chance to get close to Lin Yi? Would Lin Yi get angry if he went there without a plan? As he was thinking, his phone rang. It was Zhao Qibing, and Zhuang Niadeo picked it up. Master Bing, why are you calling me? Zhuang Niadeo and Zhao Qibing weren't too familiar with each other. They only knew each other and didn't have much of a relationship. But since Zhao Qibing was the next head of the Hidden House Zhao, it was inevitable that they would have to interact in the future. So, Zhuang Niadeo's tone was still very polite. Master Zhuang, it's like this, I want to ask you something. Your Hidden House and Lin. Zhao Qibing asked carefully. Oh, Zhuang Niadeo's face changed, remembering his grandpa's orders. Master Bing, you're not thinking of looking for trouble with Lin Yi, are you? But I can't get involved. Not only can I not get involved, but I'll have to help Boss Lin Yi deal with you. Our Hidden House is now Boss Lin Yi's follower, so I hope you'll think twice before you act. Ugh, it's not that, I'm just asking. Qibing didn't expect this to be true. He was shocked, but sadly, he knew that with Lin Yi's forceful interference and the Hidden House Zhuang's presence, they wouldn't be able to take back Songshan's land anymore. That's good. Zhuang Niadeo sighed in relief and hung up. Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, called Sihua again. Master Bing, how is it? Any news? Sihua asked carefully. Yes, Hidden House Zhuang has joined Lin Yi's side. Zhao Qibing said helplessly. Come back, leave Songshan. I'm not there anymore, and Songshan isn't a place we can reach. Get to Lin Yi if he wants it. I don't want to offend Lin Yi for now. All right, so what do we do when we get back to Donghai? Sihua asked. After you return to East Ocean City, go to the East Ocean Engineering University. Find a house near the university and open a bar. However, your main task is to see if you can please Lin Yi for me. Qibing sighed. If you see Lin Yi, do your best to help him, that's all. Oh, curry favor with Lin Yi? Sihua paused. Master Bing, are we, the Hidden House Zhao, going to change our strategy as well? We're going to get on Lin Yi's good side, aren't we? Of course not. Qibing shook his head. I need his help. Wait for me. Never mind. Let's not talk about this. Just remember what I said. All right. Sihua nodded. And so, Sihua, Jianong, Zhang Yuzhou, and the others left quickly, handing over the floating cloud bar to Tiandi on the same day, along with the shares from the other companies. Sihua's people weren't in Songshan anymore, so there was no point in keeping the shares. These companies were all local construction companies and entertainment industry owners, and Sihua's shares were given to Sihua in hopes that he could help them out when they ran into trouble. These would be Tiandi's businesses from now on. The bar was officially renamed to Tiandi Bar. Lin Yi, naturally, couldn't use his name, so it was best to let Tiandi use his name. He also announced to the public that Tiandi's backer was the Hidden House Shuang, and that it had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Only the hidden houses knew that Lin Yi was the Hidden House Shuang's backer. Every day sect. Master Chunyang asked Nai Peo to call Pin Liang over. He didn't want to get involved in Pin Liang's business anymore, but for the sake of his beloved disciple, he had no choice but to do it this time. If Master Chunyang didn't help, Nai Peo wouldn't be able to focus on practicing. In order to reassure his beloved disciple, Master Chunyang racked his brains and finally came up with a good idea. Disciple Zhong Pingliang greets the pure Yang, Celestial Master. I wish the Celestial Master a long and prosperous life. Zhong Pingliang said respectfully. Heavenly Venerate Pure Yang frowned. What are you talking about? Why does it sound so familiar? I think it's the leader of the God Dragon sect. Wasn't he killed by Wei Xiaobao? Pin Liang wanted to suck up to Master Chunyang, but he didn't. He didn't expect Master Chunyang to read novels as well. He sweated. He's not as strong as Master. It's normal for him to be killed, but Master is different. Oh, all right. Let's not talk about these random things. I thought a good way to get revenge for you. Master Chunyang waved his hand. What? Master, really? You're too good to your disciple. Pin Liang was overjoyed. He didn't think that he would have a chance to get revenge. Of course it's true. When have I ever lied? Master Chunyang said faintly. I'll give you another treasure. It's a spirit beast, and although it's not a high level, it has some special abilities. Spirit beast. Pin Liang's eyes lit up. He had been in contact with many things in the world of cultivation, and naturally, he knew what a spirit beast was. It would be great if he could get one to fight against Lin Yi. That's right, this spirit beast is called the 100 Drunken Centipede. This centipede can be used to bite people, and those bitten will faint within an hour. There's no cure, Master Chunyang said, so if you challenge Lin Yi again, use the centipede to secretly bite him, and he'll faint. That way, you can beat him up however you want. Oh, that good? Pin Liang was overjoyed when he heard that there was such a good spirit beast. Then I'll bet with him. I'll bet on the mid-grade golden cicada underwear. He'll definitely lose. Yes, that's what I mean too. I'll let you bet on the golden cicada underwear. Master Chunyang said, however, remember, don't use this 100 drunken centipede carelessly. This centipede can only be used 3 times a month. If you exceed 3 times, you'll have to wait until next month. There's such a restriction. Pin Liang originally wanted to go back and continue challenging, but after hearing this, he quickly gave up the idea. It seemed that he couldn't use it carelessly. He could only use it at critical moments. Chapter 2590. The right house is suspicion. That's easy. I understand, Master. Pin Liang nodded. He understood how to use the centipede in an instant. It was very simple. Okay, study it first. Once you've mastered it, you can leave the mountain. Chunyang Sky Master nodded. Yes, Master. Pin Liang replied quickly. This centipede was something that Chunyang Sky Master had spent a lot of effort to come up with. He didn't dare give Pin Liang anything that was too high class now. This kid was too useless. Even the mid-class golden cicada underwear could be swapped out by others. He was really too useless. So, this time, Chunyang Sky Master gave him a treasure that wasn't too bad. This thing was useless in the everyday sect. It wasn't important, so Chunyang Sky Master didn't feel too bad about it. Red Conk's foreign headquarters. After the third leader returned his place, he was very unhappy. He hated Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. He didn't want to take revenge for strategist Zhuge. After all, Strategist Zhuge was just one of his underlings. It didn't matter if he died or not. The main problem was that he wanted to use Strategist Zhuge to occupy this lucrative position and get some money from it. However, before this plan could be implemented, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company ruined it and killed Strategist Zhuge. How could he just let it go? Naturally, he didn't want to let Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company go just like that. However, he didn't dare to go against Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company openly. He had to find other ways to deal with them. The third leader was indeed Strategist Zhuge's backer. He was just like Strategist Zhuge, a sinister person. He didn't do it himself. Instead, he called a leader of the Firewolves that he had a good relationship with. This leader was an elder of the Firewolves' northern branch in the country. He wanted this elder's help to deal with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and split the profits evenly. The elder of the Firewolf gang's northern division pondered for a while. He felt that he should discuss this matter with the current leader of the northern division. After all, this was a huge matter. Although the Firewolf gang and the Red Kong gang were one, it wasn't good for them to bypass the Red Kong gang's local branch and directly cooperate with the Red Kong gang's headquarters. The third leader wasn't in a rush. If he went to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company now, it would be easy for people to guess that it was Red Kong's revenge. However, after a while, he would use other methods, and no one would be able to contact him. The elder of the North Division was the one who'd saved Jiang Wen and Njinda from Lin Yi's hands. But his current strength wasn't enough for Lin Yi. Lin Yi had to give him some face and let Jiang Wen go because he wasn't strong enough. At this moment, the Northern Branch elder, the leader, and Jiang Wen were sitting in a villa in Donghai City. They were discussing the arrangements made by the third leader of Red Kong's headquarters. Jiang Wen was in favor of the Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. This was Lin Yi's company. It would be great if he could do something to Lin Yi's company. He was worried that he didn't have a new way to earn money. Although the casino was profitable, it was far from what he had done in the past. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was a treasure bowl. There was so much money that Jiang Wen didn't have the chance to get it. If he had the chance, he would have gone there a long time ago. With Jiang Wen's support, this plan would be a lot easier. Jiang Wen was the best person to carry out the mission. It was best to leave this matter to him. Hidden House Yu. At this moment, Old Yu, Yu Jintian, Yu Third, and Yu Coiling Tiger were all sitting in a secret room. Old Yu had a serious expression on his face. Yu Third, have you checked it out? Those elixirs that appeared in the auction were really provided by Ling Yi. And Ling Yi is the Lin Yi you mentioned? Old Yu was shocked. He didn't expect that the high-quality elixirs that appeared in the cultivator's market were auctioned by Lin Yi. Before this, after the high-quality elixirs appeared in the cultivator's market, Hidden House Yu had been investigating. They couldn't let their competitor continue to develop. They didn't know who their competitor was, but the result of their investigation was shocking. It was actually provided by Lin Yi. According to our acquaintances in the cultivator's market, it was indeed provided by the masked Ling Yi. The pattern and image of the mask match, and I can confirm that Ling Yi is Lin Yi. When I wanted to snatch the pure topaz, Lin Yi revealed his identity. Yu Third said with certainty, Lin Yi, it's actually Lin Yi? How is this possible? Even if Lin Yi is a second-grade alchemist, it's impossible to refine so many finished elixirs in a short time, right? And the quality is so good? Old Yu couldn't figure it out. Could it be that both he and Han Jingjing are alchemists? That's not right. The materials we gave them for second-grade ammunition are limited. Lin Yi can buy materials from other places. I heard that Lin Yi contacted the people in the cultivator's market to buy medicinal materials from them. In other words, Lin Yi probably has other channels to buy medicinal materials. Yu Third said, after all, most of the materials for second-grade elixirs are not particularly rare. They can be bought. Oh, that's true. Old Yu nodded. In other words, these elixirs were refined by Lin Yi and Han Jingjing together? Impossible. Yupanu said, Grandpa, I heard from Lin Yi and Boss by that he can't refine elixirs. Although he can stimulate the alchemy fire, it seems that because of the wrong attribute in his body, he can't change the size and temperature of the fire. It's just a show, so the person who refined elixirs must be Han Jingjing. Oh, So, these elixirs were refined by Han Jingjing in a short time? Old Yu frowned even more. Even if they can buy materials from other channels, how long did we give them the second-grade medicinal cauldron? They didn't have a medicinal cauldron before, and they still went to the antique market to buy junk, right? Chapter 2591. Quiet Trouble. That's right. Han Jingjing definitely has better pill refining materials in her hands that can increase the success rate and quality of the pills. Old Man Yu nodded and said, Coiling Tiger, are you sure that every time Boss Bai gave Lin Yi's information you saw it? You didn't miss anything? That's for sure. Besides, the information I exchanged from Lin, it was also done step by step. Only this time did I get something good. The previous ones were all ordinary stuff. You Coiling Tiger said. And when Han Jingjing was refining pills, there was no such information. Their information must be their own, not given by Boss Bai. That's true. Old Master Yu nodded. In other words, Han Jingjing definitely has good alchemy materials in her hands, right? That must be it. You Coiling Tiger said. Otherwise, why wouldn't Han Jingjing show me her information every time I went to see her? Logically speaking, I've already gotten all of her information. If she doesn't show me the rest, then there must be a problem. By the way, Father, I suddenly remembered something. Yu Jintian frowned and suddenly said with a solemn expression, We've all overlooked something important. What is it? Old Master Yu was stunned. Father, do you remember when we found the tomb of the elixir god, Zhang Liju, near Song's Han? Yu Jintian said. In the eyes of normal people, Zhang Liju was the medical saint, but in the mouth of practitioners, Zhang Liju was the elixir god. That's true, but what does this have to do with Lin Yi? At that time, Old Man Yu also wanted to rob the ancient tomb, but later he heard that the ancient tomb was extremely dangerous, so he gave up. It doesn't seem to be related, but it is actually very related. Father, do you remember how Lin Yi provoked Hidden House Yu and Hidden House Xiao? Where did the Hidden House use Yu Huaxing find the Qi gathering pill? Yu Jintian asked. Ancient tomb. Lin Yi also went to the ancient tomb. Elder Yu reacted at once. Yes, since Lin Yi snatched a Qi gathering pill, it meant that Lin Yi must have been to the ancient tomb. Otherwise, how could Lin Yi know so much about it? Later on, it was said that Yu Huaxing had admitted and realized that the person in the tomb was Lin Yi in disguise. Yeah. Do you think it's possible that Lin Yi found Zhang Liju's notes in the tomb and gave it to Han Jingjing? Yu Jintian said, Otherwise, how could Han Jingjing be so good at making elixirs and improving at godly speed? That's right. If that's the case, then everything makes sense. Old Yu nodded. That must be the case. Lin Yi must have gotten Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. No wonder he didn't like what Boss Bai gave him and gave us Boss Bai's notes so easily. It turns out that he has something better. Grandpa, then I'll go trade with Lin Yi? You Coiling Tiger asked quickly. No, you go trade with Lin Yi. Lin Yi won't give you Zhang Liju's notes. It'll expose our purpose too. Old Yu shook his head decisively and denied you Coiling Tiger's suggestion. Things are out of our Hidden House Yu's range now. Since we can't trade, we can't take it by force. Last time, third brother Yu almost died pretending to be a robber. We can't take the risk and offend Lin Yi. So we give up just like that. Yu Coiling Tiger was also a refiner. He knew the importance of good information. He also knew how difficult it was for Han Jingjing to be able to make so many high-quality pills in such a short time. He wanted to learn as well. Of course, the Hidden House Yu didn't doubt that Han Jingjing could concoct pills together and even make a few extra pills. To them, this was unimaginable. Of course we can't give up. However, we have to report this to Sky Elixir Sect. As long as Sky Elixir Sect obtains this information, we can also get share of it. After all, we were the ones who leaked the information. That's true. Yu Coiling Tiger was a little disappointed. It seemed like this had nothing to do with him. After the secret talk, Old Master Yu reported his deduction to Silkworm Change. However, when he heard that Han Jingjing was Boss Bai's student, Silkworm Change hesitated. This matter was not something he could decide, so he could only continue to report to his grandfather and report to his superiors. Old Tion's other identity was that place's representative in the ancient level. He knew a little more, so it was a bit of a headache for him to deal with Boss Bai's student. He could only continue to report it to the higher-ups, to the Xiantian Elder. Yu Coiling Tiger didn't expect that their greed for Han Jingjing's information would actually alarm the people of that place. The Xiantian Elder listened to Old Tion's report, and his face darkened. It was actually Zhang Liju's refiner's notes? That was such an important thing. Although Han Jingjing was Boss Bai's student, what if it was done in secret? Thinking of this, the Xiantian Elder immediately went to find his second senior brother, the Xuanjin Elder. Second senior brother, take a look at this information from the ancient sky elixir sect. The Xiantian Elder passed the information to the Xuanjin Elder. Oh, information from the sky elixir sect? The Xuanjin Elder took the information from the Xiantian Elder and read it carefully. But halfway through, his face changed. Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. That's right, it's Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. He's also our second master's teacher. The Xiantian Elder nodded. You're saying that we should get this information back? But this Han Jingjing, she's boss's disciple. The Xuanjin Elder hesitated. His refiner skills were higher than the Xiantian Elder's, and he had more pursuits as well. But after seeing Han Jingjing's identity, he backed off. What disciple? She's just a student. It's just a normal teacher-student relationship. It's not a big deal. The Xiantian Elder smiled, and it seems like this student is hiding something. Boss doesn't know that she has Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. Plus, Zhang Liju is our second master's teacher. It's reasonable for us to get this information back, right? That's true, but it involves Boss. The Xuanjin Elder was still hesitant. Chapter 2592, FF37, FF18, XFF33, FF23, OMU85C0F, 8BF4, 66F4, 65B0, 6700, 5 February, 5C0F, 8BF4, 9605, 8BFB, 7F51. This. Then don't hurt her. It's best to get the information back secretly. The Xuanjin ancestor sighed and finally nodded. After all, he was looking forward to this information. Don't worry, that's Boss's territory. I have to give him some face, right? The Xuanjin ancestor smiled. All right then, make the arrangements. If there's nothing else, I'll continue looking for a way to cure Tag and Dragon. The Xuanjin ancestor didn't like to get involved in disputes. His energy was spent on training and studying Tag and Dragon's injuries. All right, second brother, leave it to me. The Xiantian ancestor stood up and sent the Xuanjin ancestor away. He then called his eldest disciple, Little Ian. Greetings, master, Little E said respectfully. Little E, take a look at this information first. The Xiantian ancestor threw the information to Little E and said, Yes, master. Little E took the information and quickly read it carefully. In the end, he asked carefully, Master, you mean that I should look for this Han Jingjing on the way down the mountain? That's right. No matter what, you have to force Zhang Liju's notes out of her. The Xiantian ancestor said coldly, but you have to be mindful that this is your uncle's territory. Don't let him see it. He's famous for being protective. Understand? I understand. Don't worry, master. Little Yi's expression turned serious as he quickly replied. Then, what happens after we force her to reveal the whereabouts of the notes? Do I need to teach you? The Xiantian ancestor snorted and made a gesture of cutting his throat. Yes, master. Little one hurriedly nodded. Don't tell your second martial uncle about this either. Just keep it to yourself, understand? The Xiantian ancestor warned again. The Xuanjin ancestor was soft-hearted and couldn't bear to do something bad. However, the Xiantian ancestor was ruthless. He viewed human lives as worthless and didn't care about such things. Don't worry, master. I will be careful. Little E also knew that his second martial uncle was benevolent, so it was better not to let him know about this matter of silencing someone. Yes, you are the disciple I trust the most. This time, don't go alone. Bring along 11th, who's also your junior sister. Let her broaden her horizons, said Patriarch Xiantian. Thank you, master. A look of joy flashed in little Yi's eyes. The few of them were secretly in love with little junior sister. If he and little junior sister descended the mountain together, wouldn't there be a chance? Actually, speaking of this little junior sister, although she was quite pretty, she had a mean appearance. It was very cool, but not very gentle. However, there was only one female disciple on the mountain. There were too many wolves and not enough meat. Therefore, little one and the other senior and junior brothers all had a crush on this little junior sister. It was just that this junior sister's temper was abnormally bad, and her character was not very good. However, little one did know that this junior sister's other identity was Patriarch Xuanxin's illegitimate daughter. Patriarch Xianxun didn't seem to be married and didn't have any children. However, when he was young, he left behind a child. This child was little junior sister, but that woman died from a difficult birth. There weren't many people who knew about this. This was also the reason why this little junior sister could be arrogant and domineering in the sect, even though she was crafty and mean. Little one thought even further. If he could marry little junior sister, wouldn't his relationship with Master be closer in the future? If there was a chance to open the Heavenly Island, would Master bring him there too? This was little one's expectation. That afternoon, little one and little 11 packed their bags and went down mountain. Their first target was Sun Jingyi. Sun Jingyi's identity was very easy to investigate. As long as they took her portrait and investigated in Songshan, they would quickly find out her identity. Previously, Sun Jingyi was a celebrity in the business world. She had her own company and had business dealings with many trading companies, so it was very easy to find out her identity. As for Lin Yi, Patriarch Xuanxin's men didn't alarm the local hidden families or the forces of the families. They only asked ordinary people, so naturally, they wouldn't know Lin Yi's identity. Patriarch Xianxun was very secretive. In fact, he was also afraid that their big brother, Patriarch Xianxun, would find out about their little tricks in private. Patriarch Xuanxin's heart was similar to Patriarch Xuanxin's. They were both kind-hearted and couldn't stand bullying others. So all of this was done in secret. Now that they found out Sun Jingyi's identity, the identity of the Zhang Naipeo man with her wasn't important anymore. As long as they captured Sun Jingyi, they'd be able to find the treasure, and they'd be able to lure that man over. Although Patriarch Xianxun and Patriarch Xuanjin said that it was on the way, Patriarch Xianxun and little Yi didn't say so. Han Jingjing's matter was equally important, even more important than revenge. At the end of the day, Tag On Long was already like this. Revenge was just a pleasure in the heart. Finding that treasure and Zhang Liju's notes was the most important. With a clear target in mind, finding people was naturally easy. The people sent out by that place had their eyes on Jingyi even before Little One and Little 11 had arrived. At the moment, Jingyi was training in the hotel room of the Shueshang Hotel. Sun Jingyi practiced the Sun family's arts, using the magical little stone that Lin, Yi, and she found in the Wulanhate Mountains. At first, Sun Jingyi broke through the first level of the arts and successfully entered the second level. Then, she continued to soar, and just as she was about to complete the second level, Sun Jingyi was shocked to find that the qi in the stone was becoming less and less. Although it wasn't to the point where it was completely gone, it was definitely not as abundant as before, and Sun Jingyi's cultivation speed had also slowed down, almost to a standstill. Originally, Sun Jingyi wanted to report her cultivation situation to Lin Yi to make him happy, but before Sun Jingyi could say anything, something like this happened. Sun Jingyi didn't know if her original cultivation speed had slowed down, or if the qi in the stone was almost used up. If it was almost used up, wouldn't that be too much of a scam? The thing that she had spent so much effort to find was used up so quickly. Just when Sun Jingyi was confused, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Sun Jingyi asked. "Waiter, clean the room." A female voice came from outside the room. Sun Jingyi didn't think much and opened the door. After all, she stayed in a hotel room every day, and the waiter would come to clean the room and send some daily toiletries. FF37, W03C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2593. FF37. FF18. XFF33. FF23. OMU 85C0F. 8BF4. 66F4. 65B0. 6700. 5 February. 5C0F. 8BF4. 9605. 8BFB. 7F51. But unexpectedly, the person who entered was a woman dressed in black. The moment she entered, she tapped Sun Jingyi's body and sealed Sun Jingyi's acupoints, making her unable to move or speak. True ancient martial arts. Sun Jingyi was shocked. Although Lin Yi was also proficient in sealing acupoints, that was a lost art. Sun Jingyi never expected that the person who entered was also an expert in this field. Following the woman in black was a long-haired man with a gloomy appearance. After the two of them entered, they immediately closed the door. Sun Jingyi's room was at the end of the hotel corridor. Beside it was a power-changing room. In addition, the sound insulation was good, so it was impossible for the sound in the room to spread to other rooms. Sun Jingyi originally wanted to cultivate here without being disturbed, but she never expected that it would become the best place for Little One and Little 11 to make a move. That's right, these two people were Little One and Little 11, who came from that place under the orders of ancestor Xianxin to find Sun Jingyi and Han Jingjing. They also booked a room in the hotel, but when they saw Sun Jingyi's room, they immediately changed their minds. Sun Jingyi's room was more secure and confidential than theirs. It was easier to directly interrogate Sun Jingyi here than to capture her. Little junior sister, I'll interrogate her here first. You go and capture Han Jingjing. In school, it's more convenient for you to make a move than me, Little One said to Little 11. Okay, eldest senior brother. I hope you can get some clues before I come back. Little junior sister said. Don't worry, little junior sister. I definitely won't let down Master's trust. Little One said as he patted his chest. However, this girl is a beauty. You have to be careful when you interrogate her. The little junior sister glanced at Sun Jingyi and warned her. Ahem ahem. Small One jumped in fright and hurriedly expressed his loyalty. Little junior sister, the heavens and earth can bear witness to my feelings for you. How could I do such a thing? I hope what you said is true. Little junior sister snorted coldly. He turned around and left the room. As for Small One, his forehead was covered in cold sweat. Although Sun Jingyi was beautiful, and many times more beautiful than his junior sister, Small One was very clear that he couldn't touch this woman. Even if he had thoughts about her, he couldn't. Otherwise, if his junior sister found out, he wouldn't have a chance. Little junior sister was not as good as Sun Jingyi. Moreover, his personality wasn't good, but he had a powerful father. If he married him, then Little One would be able to obtain more cultivation resources in that place in the future. When he went to the Heaven Stage Island, he would even be able to obtain more than others. For a cultivator of his level, pursuing the heavenly Tao was more tempting. Women were secondary. Of course, women who were useful to him were another matter altogether. All right, you can speak now. Small One casually pointed. A steel ball popped out of Sun Jingyi's body, and Sun Jingyi regained her ability to speak. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, Small One didn't even touch Sun Jingyi. He didn't want to lose the opportunity to advance to the heavenly Tao because of a beautiful woman. Among his fellow disciples, his relationship with his junior sister was considered pretty good. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to work together. He wanted to cultivate more feelings, and from his master's actions this time, it could be seen that he also had this intention. Therefore, it was impossible for Small One not to seize this opportunity. Who are you? What is your purpose for coming here? Sun Jingyi didn't shout, because she knew the geographical location of the room she had booked. At this time, if she shouted, unless it was at the door, it would be very difficult for outsiders to hear. In the end, she was someone who had gone through many storms with Lin Yi, so at this time, she didn't panic too much. Sun Jingyi, right? Was it you and a person called Zhang Naipeo who went to Oolong Hout Mountains, took the treasure, and killed my 6th, 12th, and 13th brothers? Small One didn't beat around the bush with Sun Jingyi and went straight to the point. Since you've already investigated, why ask me? Sun Jingyi wasn't stupid. This person even knew her name and knew that she went to Oolong Hout Mountains with Lin Yi. Even if he didn't know Lin Yi's name, he knew the truth pretty well, so Sun Jingyi didn't have to hide it. You're here to avenge them? You can say yes, and you can say no. You don't have much power on you, so if you want to talk about killing, it should be that Zhang Naipeo who killed them. Now, I'll give you a chance to live. What is the treasure you got? Tell me, and I won't kill you. Small One asked. Treasure? Sun Jingyi sighed. A wise man didn't fight when the odds were against him, and the treasure didn't seem to be very useful to her anymore. Even if she didn't say anything, the other party could still find it after searching her room. So, Sun Jingyi said directly, It's on the bed over there, in that small box. Small One didn't think that things would go so smoothly. He didn't even need to use a bunch of threatening words. It saved him a lot of trouble. Small One picked up the small box on the bed and opened it, but frowned when he saw what was inside. Pure Chi Energy Stone? Small One took out the stone and looked at it a few times before throwing it back into the box. And it's a stone that's almost used up? This is the treasure you got? So it's this. What else is there? Sun Jingyi paused. It seemed like there were other things besides this. Just this one. This thing can only increase the speed of cultivation, but it can't step into the path of heaven. Small One was completely uninterested in that energy stone and threw it back on the bed. He frowned and asked, You're not lying? Sun Jingyi shook her head. No, look into my eyes. Small One suddenly shouted. Sun Jingyi subconsciously raised her head and looked into Small One's eyes. But with one look, her face suddenly became confused, and the previous nervousness in her eyes was replaced with a dull look. Phew! Small One looked at Sun Jingyi's appearance and smiled. It seemed that his hypnotism was successful. Hypnotism was actually a kind of spiritual power release for cultivators. Alchemists and weapon-forging masters with strong spiritual power could use it, and people from that place more or less knew some alchemy skills, so they weren't unfamiliar with hypnotism. Of course, it was limited to ordinary people like Sun Jingyi who didn't have any cultivation ability. If the other party was a cultivator, even if it was a yellow rank cultivator, it would be difficult to use it. And if it was a mystic or earth rank cultivator, it was basically impossible to succeed, unless it was an extremely heaven-defying hypnotism. FF37, W03C9, 30FB, off 4D. Chapter 2594. The troublesome result, however, Little E didn't know how to do it, and neither did Little Junior's sister. Even Patriarch Xianchen himself didn't know how to do it. Those hypnosis techniques were all secret techniques, and those who cultivated them were all demon sect disciples. For example, the Everyday and Everyday sect had a hypnosis expert in the past. What's your name? What's the name of the person who went to the Wulong Hout mountain range with you? Where is he now? Little E asked. My name is Sun Jingyi. The person who went to the Wulong Hout mountain range with me is called Lin Yi. He's studying medicine in the biology department of Donghai Engineering University. Sun Jingyi answered blankly. Biology department of medicine? Little Yi's mouth twitched. Why was it this major again? It seemed like things were going to be a little difficult. He had to keep a low profile when he went to catch them later. So he said, Why did you go to the Wulong Hout mountain range? What was the treasure you found in the Wulong Hout mountain range? I went to the Wulong Hout mountain range because among the things my parents left me, there was a map. It was the treasure map of that treasure, Sun Jingyi said truthfully. That treasure is the stone that can cultivate on the bed. After hearing this, Little E frowned. It seemed that Sun Jingyi wasn't lying. It seemed that Little 6, Little 12, and Little 13's deaths were really not worth it. They actually lost their lives for such a useless treasure. He originally thought that this sect had something good, but he didn't expect that the so-called treasure was this. Did you have any other fortuitous encounters? You only got this one thing from the Wulong Hout mountain range? Little E asked unwillingly. We also encountered the fire lions and spiders. As she spoke, Sun Jingyi told him about encountering the fire lions and spiders in the Wulonghout mountain range, and also about the teleportation array that could open the heavenly Tao. However, little E was surprised and overjoyed when he heard that the teleportation array could only be used 3 times. It had already been used twice before, and the fire lions and spiders had disappeared. Then, it was impossible for little E not to think of some troublesome things. Was the last usage right of the teleportation formation used by the Fire Lion clan and the Spider clan? If that was really the case, then it would make him speechless. Although they had found the shortcut to the Heaven Tao that they had painstakingly searched for, it couldn't be used anymore. This was simply like a starving person seeing a piece of bread, only to realize that the bread was just a model. As for Sun Jingyi, he no longer wanted to ask anything. Even the thought of looking for Lin Yi had faded. The matter was already very clear. The so-called precious treasure was not a precious treasure in Xiao Yi's eyes. The real precious treasure was the Heaven's Way teleportation formation, but it was probably unusable now. Draw the map of the cave for me, right now. Xiao Yi flicked out another steel ball, allowing Sun Jingyi to regain her ability to move. He then gave her a pen and a piece of paper, asking her to draw the map on it. Sun Jingyi didn't remember the details, but she could still draw the general location. Xiao Yi and the others knew the map of Wulonghout like the back of their hands. Although it wasn't very accurate, Sun Jingyi could more or less determine the general location of the cave. Donghai Engineering University. Lin Yi came to school after sending off the Zhu brothers. He had actually made an important decision this time. He was going to show Boss by the notes of Zhang Liju's refiner that he had found in the ancient tomb. As for Boss by selflessly giving his own information to Lin Yi, even letting Lin Yi exchange it with Right Coiling Tiger, Lin Yi was very grateful. If the first one was just normal information, then the later one was Boss Bai's unique secret manual. After all, it was left to him by his Shifu. And Lin Yi wasn't the kind of person who only asked for things without thinking of reciprocation. He was a person who could clearly distinguish between kindness and hatred. Since Boss Bai was like this, he would naturally return the favor. In fact, the simplest way that Lin Yi could think of was to help Boss Bai recover his injured meridians and let him become a refiner again. This would be the greatest help to both Lin Yi and Han Jingjing. However, there were too many things involved, and Boss Bai would inevitably know Lin Yi's secrets. Although Lin Yi and Boss Bai had a good relationship as teacher and student, up until now, Lin Yi still didn't know about Boss Bai's background and the secrets behind it. Which force and sect did he belong to back then? Lin Yi had to figure it out. Even if Lin Yi didn't think that Boss Bai would harm him, his abilities were simply too scary. Boss Bai's injuries were clearly different from Zhu Lao Tu and Pai Zhihai's injuries. Although Boss Bai didn't say it out loud, Lin Yi could tell that there was definitely something behind his injuries back then. Was his injury caused by the enemy, or was it caused by other methods? It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Boss Bai, but he was afraid of the consequences after Boss Bai recovered. If Boss Bai's enemies knew that he had recovered, what would they think? What kind of person was Boss Bai? At least the ancient level. So Lin Yi didn't want to bring trouble to himself. As for letting Boss Bai see Zhang Liju's refiner notes, it was just a compromise. It was lunch break now, and Lin Yi didn't go to the classroom. He went straight to Boss Bai's office and knocked on the door. Boss Bai was indeed there. "Come in." Boss Bai's voice came from the office. Lin Yi opened the door, a smile on his face. "Teacher Bai." "HM? Lin Yi, why are you here?" Boss Bai was a bit puzzled. Lin Yi rarely came uninvited, unless he was invited. Otherwise, it was hard to see him at school, and he had been asking for leave recently. "Teacher Bai, there's something I need to talk to you about," Lin Yi said seriously as he closed the door. "Oh, what is it? Sit down and talk." Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi's serious tone and found it strange. He didn't understand what Lin Yi had to do to make such a big fuss. "It's like this, actually. There's something I've been hiding from you." Lin Yi was a bit ashamed. Boss Bai had been taking care of him wholeheartedly, but Lin Yi had been holding back. "What is it?" Boss Bai heard Lin Yi's words and was even more confused. Is it about you being a refiner? Kind of, but also not. Lenny smiled bitterly and told the truth. Actually, I've been to Zhang Liju's grave before. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.